You have to be like super firm and aggressive. And like just be like, no, you're like, I don't know, I don't care if it will make them hate me. It's just like these people are, I don't know, I kind of give up on them.
Yeah,
Like I
I
was
think
already,
I
you know the study where it's like the Princeton 2014 study that found like the U.S. is an oligarchy and working class interests don't matter at all.
I feel like I've heard of this, but I've never read it or anything. No.
Here, let me show you this. Let me show you this. It's funny. Give me a second. Pop, 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 pop.
No, the U.S. is an oligarchy, not a democracy. You know what I keep hearing quoted though is that 95% of the candidates who PAC spend money on win.
Whoa! Oh,
I hear that.
that what? Do what? That do what?
That like the 95% of the candidates that PAC spend money donating to win. Which is like,
yeah, that's gotta be causal. That's gotta be causal.
I know, yeah. And I would assume there are plenty of PACs that donate to both candidates just because they want to have more leeway over their policy. So like, there's literally no way.
If I'm a PAC, surely I'm not gonna spend more on the candidate that's likely to win. I'm not. Why would I do that?
Yeah.
Why would I do that? Yeah, no, that sounds like a causal relationship. I like causal inference is my passion. I do that. You know that tweet? There's this Matt Darling tweet where it's like causal inference is my passion. But here, check this out. Check this out. Check this study out. Okay, so people cite this all the fucking time to say, oh, the U.S. is like just a total like oligarchy, always, ever. And you open the study, and the R squared. Do you know what an R squared is?
I don't know the exact definition, but it's how statistically significant the relationship is or whatever. It's like how much.
No, it kind of. It's like how much explanatory value it has, right?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
What percentage of the variance is explained? That's how
yeah.
Read
Okay.
it. And the R squared is 0.07. It's like only 7% of the variance is explained by this, and even then, it's like that's just trash, right? Usually, an R squared of like 0.2 of like 20% of the variance is also trash. This was like 0.7, 0.07. I'm sorry, 0.07. So here, look at the differences. I'm sending you. I made this graph or this chart. Okay, this kind of like helps explain the differences between R squared.
Yeah.
Or like what R squared is. So yeah, on the left you have like the R squared they had in that study where it's 0.07. Just drawing a regression line, it just doesn't explain shit. Sorry, it's just trash. And then like on the right you have like an R squared of 0.8, which is okay. So yeah, so it's just like there's so much misinfo. I don't know if I want to like. Sometimes I'll just open a Gravel Institute video or a PergerU video and just debunk it for fun. But damn, it's grim. It's grim. But yeah, I don't know. I also got to wake up in like 4 hours. I already slept for 3.
Awesome.
Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
I just woke up at like 1 a.m. and I was like, okay, let me just do stuff now.
Yeah. These people keep fucking having panels. They go from like 4 a.m. my time to like 8 a.m. my time, and that's like I want to be in bed by fucking 4 a.m. dude, because otherwise my sleep schedule just gets so fucked.
Yeah, so if it's like 4 a.m., you're gonna be like, okay, I'll stay up late. But then if they change it to 8 a.m., you're like, I can just sleep and wake up. But it's like, yeah,
it's wild. I don't want to be sleeping from like 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. or whatever, and it just sucks.
Yeah, I like tomorrow. I'm just dry. Like tomorrow, I'm just like I only like go to my university for like 3 hours just for a lecture, and then I come back. I don't want to spend much time in the north because of Lebanon. I don't want to be there when it happens, when shit goes down. So but yeah, that's what I'm doing tomorrow.
That makes sense. I gotta fucking register for classes, dude. I'm gonna have to fix my sleep schedule when I go to college in like 3 weeks. But
I have like 3 days. Yeah, I have like 2 days, 3 days to register for like courses. I'm lazy.
I think I'm gonna sign up for online courses, and I'm gonna stream myself doing them. That's the game plan.
Is that legal?
Well, maybe. I would assume there are probably some lectures that I probably can't share. But like, if I'm just like doing homework, I'm assuming I could stream it. Like,
it's like paying for a movie and then watching it on YouTube. I don't know if that's legal. But yeah, man, I don't know. Live your truth. Live your truth. You watched the PragerU debate, right? The PragerU debate. Oh my god, dude! Oh my god! Oh my god! He got crushed. Dennis,
Yeah.
you got. Look, remember when he made that point of like, Lenin had this newspaper called Truth, and that's like socialism, right? Remember
Yeah.
that point? I made
Yeah.
this meme. Okay, I couldn't believe Destiny didn't bring it up. He should have, but I made this point, like this meme.
Oh
What?
yeah, True Social, literally.
Truth Social. It's literally called Truth Social. How are you this not self-aware? This is insane, right? I just don't.
But Kamala is the illiberal one, and Trump isn't
No,
illiberal at all. You know.
he also didn't cite Kamala, or he said like the president of New Zealand or the prime minister of New Zealand. What the fuck? This is schizophrenic. It's also probably out of context or something. It's probably just like, oh, government data is reliable, and that's what she said, or something like that. She didn't say like, oh, government defines what truth is. I don't think that's what she said.
Yeah.
I'll look into it. Maybe I don't. Why should I? When Trump has literally Truth Social. Fuck that. Fuck that. You know. But yeah, God, that was a terrible debate.
Dude, there were so many. I hate that there are a lot of conservatives. Like I think Dave Rubin did it. I think Benny Johnson did it. Like they'll talk to Destiny and Piers Morgan when they need to actually set up debates. Like they need to set up like 2-hour-long debates on J6. There are so many conservatives that need to be dragged through the mud on J6, and because I think like any honest conservative should be able to. I don't know if they'll ever utter the words insurrection, but there are so many conservatives that have like such a horrible view on J6 that are like mainstream conservatives, and they like literally should not. They should be fucking canceled, dude. We should bring cancel culture down on them. But they won't do it. They'll talk to Destiny for 2 minutes on Piers Morgan, but not an actual debate.
Am I? Hello?
Hello?
No. Wait, hello? Okay. Yeah,
Hello?
now I'm better. Now I'm better. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
you
No, my ping dropped. My ping like totally flattened. No, you said this phrase. I just don't know what that means. You said honest conservative. What's that? Oh, never mind. No, I mean, like, Piers Morgan sucks. You know, you started talking about how they should like say the words in track. Obama was the deporter in chief, right? You know that.
Oh, the deporter in chief. Yep, I'm aware.
Yeah, it's over for you. You lost. You lost.
Yeah. You know, Biden, I mean, he actually deported more immigrants as a share who crossed the border than Trump did, but, you know.
Yeah. You know, he said he likes ice cream, and that's not vegan. He said that to donors. You know he said that? You know he said that? You lost. You lost. Are you vegan? I'm gonna want to have
I'm not vegan. I'm vegetarian, but...
Oh, well, that's not good enough, but it's better. So...
Listen, I've heard... Yeah, are you vegan?
Yeah, I try.
I've been talking to more vegans lately. I probably will go vegan at some point. I don't think I have good arguments against it. I think it's probably...
That's the thing I hate most about Destiny. He's like, he knows he's wrong about veganism. He's got to know. He's got to know. He debated in the past. He was like, he admitted it in some past discussions, but nowadays he doesn't admit it anymore. Sucks. Whatever. He doesn't talk about it anymore.
I don't. For whatever reason, when I first started watching Destiny, I remember, it was a few years ago, and I was like a fucking Vosh convert, dude. I thought Destiny was just unhinged.
Yeah.
Like the first debate I ever thought he did bad in is I watched his old debate with Vegan Gains, and I was like, I don't think his arguments actually work here.
No, he debated this girl, and I think he said something to the effect of like, look, I know I'm kind of wrong, but it like benefits me or some shit. Maybe that was like one of his first debates about philosophy, so maybe it was weaker there, but I don't know. I think he was more honest. I can try to find the discussion. He has like a trillion bazillion discussions on everything, so I don't know if I can find it. But yeah. Why are you playing Bedrock? It just sucks. I don't get that.
Listen, I told you my friends want to vegans are gay in the discussion. Thank you, PPG. My friends want to get every achievement on Bedrock Edition so they can have their fucking Xbox show people that they're so good at Minecraft Bedrock, but
yeah, I mean, that's not, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's not that different. It just when you like without mods, I just really like, mods.
Oh yeah, Bedrock sucks. It's not good.
I want the quality of life mods, but yeah, I don't know. Also, someone said in the chat that like vegans are gay. Well, I mean, I think it's worse. That's PPG.
Sorry, Bimmy.
I just think it's worse to like slaughter an innocent being for like my tummy to feel nice, right? That's all I think.
Yeah. Well, Bimmy doesn't really have. I don't think Bimmy has any thought out argument. I think his literal argument is that vegans are gay.
Oh. Well, what's wrong with gay people?
Wait a second.
I'm trying to be annoying. I'm trying to be annoying. But
also, baby, we need to DM still. Fuck, I have not DM'd you about the wealth tax debate.
Oh, that's the person you're gonna debate. Oh,
I set up 3 people to do it with.
I leaked your sources then.
Well,
damn.
Listen, I don't mean to be rude to you, Bimmy. I'm just saying, the only thing I've actually seen you do on stream is react to TYT and Noam Chomsky videos. I haven't actually seen you read anything. Like, you could be reading stuff, and I just don't know about it. But like, that's just all I've seen you do on stream.
Yeah, I mean, that's bad. Chomsky is peculiar. I used to like him, but then I, yeah, you know. No, oh, but that's so funny. That's something funny here. Let me rant for a second. I'm taking this course, language, computation, and cognition. Right? It's about NLP and AI and psycholinguistics, basically. And sometimes the professor will just go on a spiel on how like Chomsky's theory of language is wrong, or like universal grammar or whatnot, and whatnot. And when he does like every 2 lectures or something, he just like talk for 5 minutes about how Chomsky's wrong. And then when Chomsky, like everyone thought he died, you follow that? Did you follow that?
Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
Yeah, when everyone thought Chomsky died, he like a week later he was in class and was saying like everyone thought Chomsky died, by the way, but he didn't. And then like ever since he like the lecture after that, he asked like, does anyone know if Chomsky's still alive? And I was like, yeah, I wanted to say unfortunately, I didn't say unfortunately, but now ever since I'm like just his like updates on Chomsky. Every lecture he just asks me like. Or like every lecture, I tell him, I talk to him in like the break. I tell him, oh, by the way, Chomsky's still alive, and then he ends the lecture by saying, oh, by the way, important update from one of our students, Chomsky is indeed still alive. But I'm just scared it's gonna die like in a month, and then I have to tell him the like bad news or good news.
Yeah,
it's bad news. I don't want him to die. I don't really want him to die. I'm just playing.
I mean, yeah, he did have a stroke, but that might have actually increased his brain function. Who knows? So
maybe, yeah. But look. You can end the debate on wealth taxes by just saying like all rich people are gonna just disappear. They're just gonna move. It will happen. It will.
Yeah.
No, I mean capital flight is a serious argument. I'm just.
Yeah.
Kind of,
I mean, that.
Like, no, yeah. Like I talked to a socialist once on it, and they were like, "Good, we want rich people to leave." But it's like, oh, okay, I don't know. Okay.
But then if they accept that, then any revenue argument they make is obviously gonna have to be thrown out.
I mean, I don't think it's about
and then like you just export the problem to a different country. Like that's the real form of imperialism. Are you kidding me? You're sending all the billionaires to the Bahamas, like
true.
And now the billionaires are gonna have to deal, or the Bahamas are gonna have to deal with them. The oppressive billionaires.
Look, it depends on the person, right? So for the maybe average person, I don't know if you can do the average person versus misinformed person dichotomy, but some people wanted to, like, they think it's actually going to be good policy that increases revenue and blah, 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 whatever. Some people just want to punish rich people.
Yeah.
That's their rationale. Whatever. I don't think that's good. I love rich people. I love them. We got to support them. Tip your landlord, guys. Tip your landlord.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go. But yeah, I don't know. Do you have any other resources on the time prices, or is it just like the super abundance book?
I mean, somewhere in my notes there's a little bit of stuff on it, because like the Cato Institute, or no, it's all from the abundance index stuff. I think they go over 6 reasons why they like time prices, and it's like, oh, it's always equal. You can compare time prices for a French peasant in 1800s France to a modern guy in Germany. Yeah, everyone has 24 hours in a day, so it's all always equal. Yeah, stuff like that.
I mean, you probably should adjust it somewhat for life expectancy, right? Because that's kind of like
that's true. Yeah.
Right? Maybe, right? Because like if I had only 20 years to live, my time is a lot more valuable.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe there's some diminishing marginal, like, or diminishing utility of time or of life expectancy.
Yeah, probably. I mean, yeah.
I mean, 1 year is worth a lot more when you're gonna live 20 versus 90 or something. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. That's we should tax time. Yeah, we should tax people in time prices. Like, yeah, that's gonna be based. Like, imagine the minimum. Yeah, I guess minimum wages can be in time prices. That's not entirely dumb. If anything, that makes sense. But it's just like saying real wages should be adjusted for inflation, because again, time prices are just the inverse of real prices, I think. So that's why that's something I didn't get in there. Like, I don't know what real prices are. I just never heard that term. I talked to an econ major, and they also never heard that term. So it's like,
yeah, I've never heard it either. But
yeah, real prices, don't you just mean one? Like, CPI divided by CPI. I guess, right? It's just the number one. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any stuff on taxing unrealized gains? I read just like No Opinions short blog in it, but
do I have anything on capital gains? I doubt it.
well, just unrealized gains, not. I mean, unrealized.
Unrealized capital gains. Yeah. There was the three wonks thing. They talked about it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I write down what they say. Give me a second.
My source is what Micah said. That's
yeah.
That's my only source. I believe
Micah mentioning unrealized capital gains tax when they talked about, was it the Republican Party platform? Was it 2025? I don't remember. They talked about something. Wow, I know, so informative. Let me see. So my land value tax, income tax, DB50, value added. No, I don't have unrealized capital gains. But Micah does have an article about how it's a double. Oh, or maybe it's just capital gains. I don't know. If
that was just capital gains. Yeah, I read that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a double tax, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't have anything special on that.
Although unrealized gains can be like can be an infinite tax, because if you just tax the value of the stock every time it goes up and down, if you don't compensate people for their losses, then you can tax the same gains over and over again as the stock bounces up and down. So, there's that.
Yeah, but here's something I didn't get. It's like, is it just like a one-time? Is it a yearly thing? Because let's say I have a stock. Let's say I buy a stock at $1,000, then it shoots up to $2,000. And then I pay for like 5 years the tax, and let's say it's a 25% tax, like Biden wants or something, right? Then I lose money, right? I lose money. It's like I pay 1,250 in taxes over 5 years on the unrealized capital gain, but I only make 1,000 in the capital gain, right? Like I pay over 5 years more than the capital gain. So I don't know if that makes sense, right?
What? Sorry, you're paying.
Imagine you buy stock ABC, right? And it's $1,000, something, I don't know, and then it shoots up to 2,000, right? So you have a capital gain of 1,000, right?
Yep.
And then let's say there's a 25% unrealized capital gains tax, and let's say you do make over 100 million, okay, or whatever you have.
Yeah.
So the tax affects you. Also, it's dumb to have like a tax start affecting people once they make a certain amount of money, or like once they have a certain amount of, it should be like, you know that though, it should be like, it shouldn't be a step, that creates probably some stuff. But whatever. Let's say you're under the tax, so you have 1,000 in capital gains, and then you pay 25% a year, I guess. So
yeah, that's
the
how most
first year
of
you
them
pay 250, then the second year you pay 250, third year, fourth year, fifth year. But by the fifth year, you pay more than $1,000 in total into taxes, right? So that's more than the unrealized capital gain. All right, isn't that like just a little dumb? I don't know. It encourages people to probably. I don't know. I mean, I'm maybe being retarded because I'm assuming the stock stays constant, which it probably won't. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't you know
Wait,
stocks
so you
are
don't want
just
any corporate taxes? Well, Bimmy, I'm sure we'll get to talk about it in the debate, but
yeah, you should debate
Don't
run away.
Well, he already agreed to it. He's have to set up a time, and I probably want to read a little bit of stuff, even though I think I've read more than him. But
read a bajillion Cato papers. Read only stuff that confirms your priors.
Exactly.
Okay? Only
confirmation bias stuff. Yep.
Let's go. Total. That's how you achieve truth. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Kind of though, unironically. No.
I mean, like, really. I mean, if I'm preparing for a debate, I am going to read mostly stuff that I've collected that confirms my prior. But like, then in theory, if I'm wrong, shouldn't they be able to present stuff that shows I'm wrong?
Yeah. No, of course. Yeah. That's how courts work, right? Like.
Yeah. What are we arguing about exactly, though? This is the prompt I came up with, and you agreed to. We can amend it if we want. Taxing unrealized gains, implementing wealth taxes, and raising high corporate taxes are detrimental economic policies.
Let's go. I don't know if corporate. Look, I don't know if I wouldn't say corporate taxes are detrimental policy. I would say they're just not optimal. Right?
Not
Probably
suboptimal.
better to have a corporate tax than not.
Yeah.
So
I think I phrased that as raising high corporate taxes.
Okay, sure. Yeah, sure. If you really want to be funny, look, I do that when I'm really bad faith. When I just want to troll someone, I don't do that usually. But when I troll someone and I talk about taxes, I just say Laffer curve about whatever.
Oh yeah.
Even though it's like a totally fake point, it's totally dumb. There's totally zero.
Listen,
I'm not saying that person. I don't know that person. I don't know them. They're probably good faith. They're probably nice. Don't do that to them. But sometimes I'll debate like a dumb fuck, and I'll be like, "Look, but what about the Laffer curve? Don't you know about the Laffer curve? You want to tax carbon? Don't you know about the Laffer curve?" I'll just troll them. But yeah.
I mean, all right. Listen, I think there was that one paper that estimated like 5 OECD countries were probably taxing rich people over the point of the Laffer curve, but it was like some of the Scandinavian countries that have super high marginal rates on the very rich.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure they even reduced them. There are a lot of European countries that got rid of their wealth taxes.
When they said that, do they mean like an effective rates or like in just like some of the top marginal tax? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like someone can have like a top marginal tax rate of like a 1,000,000,000% or like 1,000%, or I'm sorry, 100%. And then like maybe that's but that's like not the entire tax, right? Just like the top. So maybe I don't know what this study was. I probably should read it.
Yeah, in 2017, Jacob Lundberg of Uppsala University estimated Laffer curves for 27 OECD countries with top income tax rates maximizing tax revenue ranging from 60 to 61%. From 70, okay, that just goes through other countries. Most countries appear to have set their highest tax rate below the peak rate, with 5 countries exceeding it. So it's just what the highest marginal rate is. But
okay, yeah, I don't know if that's the most informative thing, but yeah, sure. I just think Laffer curve is funny because that's like the average conservative argument against like any tax. So I just do it to say I'm not a conservative, of course, but yeah, it's funny. It's fun. I'll troll conservatives too, okay? But sometimes it's funny to troll dumb people.
I think I did write the Laffer curve as just a bullet point. I don't know if I'll probably mention it in my opening statement, but I'm not like super interested.
No, you should. I don't think the Laffer curve impacts fucking corporate taxes that much. I've never heard it. It's only income.
In the wealth tax part, I have the Laffer curve written down, but I also have I have other points that I need to add. But
yeah. I don't know if Laffer curve is the strongest one because people want a wealth tax of like not high. What?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right.
I don't remember.
I don't know what was it.
I'm pretty sure
also
the maximum
another thing
ever proposed was like 9%.
In your Notion library, you should not paste links. You should give them a title. Don't just paste links. That's ugly. That's yucky.
Paste links? What do you mean?
When you just open your Notion for a second.
Yeah. Where do I?
I don't want to see HTTP column / whatever Micah blah blah blah. I want to see a title and I want to see.
Well, I mean, like this is just stuff I like haven't read yet. So like I just paste the links in here and it's like I'll get back to them later.
But how do you know what
some of the things have the title?
Maybe in these links you can find like that you can find the title. But sometimes the links will just be like 1, 2, 3, 5, 5, 5, something like that, and then it's like what I do.
Some of my more organized pages have that. They have a title and they have the link underneath them, and it's like marked red, so I know I haven't read it. But sometimes I'm just lazy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, in my taxes, in my tax entry, my entry about taxes. I just have a list of all taxes, and each one has its own page, and then I just dump resources. Whenever I do want to just paste links, I still give them a title, but I just have in like half my Notion pages, there's just I'm gonna do a header one. I'm doing a divider, and then below that a header one toggle header, whatever it's called, and
Yeah.
toggle title, and I just just dump resources there for future use. I just hate losing links. You probably know what I'm talking about, right? Like you'll see something saying you'll see something saying XYZ talking point is total bullshit, and then you'll not save it. You'll see it on Twitter. You're not gonna save it, and then like 5 years later, you see someone say XYZ, and you're like spending 40 minutes to find the link, and then you don't find it. That's just like my nightmare.
I know. I gotta get better at that because sometimes I still like just see something and I bookmark it on Twitter, and then I need it later, and it's not on my Notion. I have to go through all my Twitter bookmarks, and I don't remember what to search to find it. It's like.
I did that recently, and it was therapeutic. I gotta say, I went over all my like bookmarks, and whatever wasn't just like Israeli stuff, but whatever was about like econ stuff, I just saved. That's how I found like a lot of stuff against like the peasants used to work like negative hours a trillion years ago. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Well, no, I don't know. I don't know exactly what you're talking about there.
Talking point that like, peasants and the what was it, Dark Age or something, used to work like only 150 hours. And that's kind of total bullshit.
Well, what were they?
Look it up. Like peasants worked 150 hours. Look that up.
Peasant in medieval era worked just 150 days a year on average. The church believed it was crucial to keep them content by making
hours,
frequent holidays.
Yeah, I'm retarded as fuck. Not hours, days. That talking point is total bullshit. But yeah. I hear it often, but it's bullshit. But yeah, I can send you a mini thread debunking it if you want.
Oh yeah, I'm on a Reddit comment debunking it right now, but
oh, let's go. Yeah, Reddit. I love Reddit.
Oh, Jeremy adjusted for inflation. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
I mean, it's like they were working. They couldn't work on the winter much, and also the author of that claim took it back, and it's just kind of total bullshit. And also, their labor was more harsh than some coder in LA, globally. So it's just and it was mostly for like church stuff. It's just total bullshit, and a lot of labor was undocumented, and blah, 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 all that stuff, all that good stuff. By the way, I'm so happy Deepak is doing debates now. Like not doing debates, like hosting debates. You know what I'm talking
about? No, I don't think so. What do you mean?
Yeah, David Pacman hosted that like Destiny.
That's what you mean by Deepak. Yeah, David Pacman.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm not talking about like Deepak Chopra or something. Yeah, no. I call him Deepak. David Deepak Pacman. Yeah, no, that's based. He did like one with Brianna Wu. It was funny. It wasn't funny. It was just boring.
What did he debate Brianna Wu on, or did he just have her come on?
Brianna Wu. He did he hosted a debate between Brianna Wu, or maybe it was like a panel or something. Brianna Wu and like two other socialists, or look, one of them was a socialist. The other one was forgot. Yeah, look it up.
Yeah. Progressive civil war explodes over Israel-Gaza. Oh no.
Yeah, this one.
Today we'll be having...
It's dumb. It's like from a month ago or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like that he's doing panels now. I like it. Or like hosting debate. He's a good debater, but like it's fun to see. He has a good platform, so I thought like the Dennis debate was really good. Like he hosted it pretty well. Although sometimes he'll be like a biased moderator. He'll be like, "Oh, Dennis, by the way, this is wrong, but I'll let Destiny correct that," or something. Like, that's,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like that's funny.
I mean, unfortunately, you're calling. If you're going on David Pacman's show, you should know that like he's probably gonna lean liberal, right? But
yeah.
Listen, the truth kind of has a liberal bias in many respects, so it's hard to.
Oh well. I agree because the truth is the government, and the government has a liberal bias. Yeah,
yeah,
that's what New Zealand said, so I have to believe it. I'm still not over that. I really like dropped my mouth when I heard him say, "Oh, he called the truth. That's socialist propaganda," and then like actually not realize that Trump has like truth social. It's called the truth fucking. If anything, that's more like Marxist because like truth socialism or something. I don't know what the fuck.
Oh, true. Yeah.
What a fucking retard. What a fucking dumb fucking retard. Oh my god. But yeah, kill me. Well, it's not a newspaper, so it's not analogous. But yeah. Well, what's your goal in this Minecraft world? Just achieve achievements?
I mean, I just play it when I stream. It's just something for me to do in the background. But my friends want to get every achievement in the game.
You should play
for me,
Killer
though, it's
Sudoku.
just
You should not play Minecraft.
Sudoku.
Yeah, I do that a lot.
Yeah, because you're a
Why are you
nerd,
digging
okay.
clay with the whatever?
Shut up, dude. I wasn't thinking, bro.
Yeah, I can tell. You also forgot one of the ceilings things. It's like
Oh, God
instead
damn
of
it.
four blocks on it, it's 3 now. Yeah, you messed up, big time.
Yeah. Okay, no way.
Yeah. But yeah, no. I like Killer Sudoku. It's like Sudoku, but like without initial numbers. It just gives you cages and the sums. Whatever. It's schizo stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But
He's so even more nerdy. Okay, got you.
also, why you when you debate taxes, right? You said they're gonna be like detrimental to economic growth and what? Don't you know that like the planet has finite resources? Don't you know that though?
Oh yeah, there's finite resources and yeah.
So you want like
And
infinite growth?
you can't expect
And that's
infinite
like,
growth on a finite planet.
yeah, and it's like just the second law of thermodynamics, right? Like
Yeah.
so yeah, you got owned, I think.
Yeah, what
You
do
got
you say
debunked.
to that? Because usually I just say, well, ideally
I
we'll
just concede
eventually get to
usually.
post scarcity, but
I usually just concede.
oh, okay.
No. I mean, what do you say to dumb talking points? I guess I'm just like, well, no, right? Like if I could increase everyone's incomes, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can, and that's the good thing. That's the good part. You can do that. So yeah, dude, I was like, you want to know? I was actually. Oh wait, is that diamonds? Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to someone like a week ago, and I was telling them like, fuck, what was it? I was telling them like, oh, the government cannot just print money because like then, you know, inflation, and then they're just, why can't the government just like adjust
Not have
everyone's
inflation.
income for inflation? No, just
Yeah.
adjust everyone's income for
Oh.
inflation. And I was trying to explain to them it's a spiral, and it's like, okay, well, if it's a spiral and now inflation increases again, then adjust it again. I was like,
Do you not see
maybe,
that?
but then in like 3 years you have like you need to pay a gorillion bajillion dollars to buy like bread, and then, and then they were like, and then they told me it was crazy, not fun. They told me I don't care about the nominal value of the dollar. I care about time.
Oh,
No, I'm joking.
that's great.
No. The last part's fake, but no, the other part was real. I just like, I don't know. I was like losing my mind. I don't know how to explain to people like, no, you cannot just like adjust everything for inflation and then make the economy constant. It's not gonna work.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of in 2020, which is kind of an ironic time to do it, considering we were printing a lot of money in 2020. There was this TikTok movement called "Print More Money 2020,"
Oh,
and they were all just arguing that we could print money and not have inflation because money's just made up. We made it, so like, why did just make it so there's no inflation because we made money. So like,
yeah,
just add a patch and remove the inflation from the game. Just do that.
Yeah, you print a gorillion billion dollars, and then like everyone's incomes are just like cut by 1,000, but then you multiply it by 1,000 and it's the same.
Yeah,
you just print
exactly.
more money. Yeah, base. I support that. Not only that, they could just like do like, okay, maybe now maybe now you need a gorillion bajillion dollars to buy one bread. But then just change the dollar to be equal to a gorillion bajillion old dollars, and now you fixed it. And you just need $1 to buy bread. And that,
exactly.
Yeah.
Didn't Israel literally do that? It wasn't that the point of the new shekel? Didn't you guys fuck up your currency?
Yeah, we did. No, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about the 80s. We don't talk about the 80s. Okay, we literally had, dude, my dad, when he talks about the 80s, he's just like, he always says the same thing. He's like, we went to the grocery store and then we went back again after like a couple hours and the prices were different. And I'm like, wow. By the way, we have like a non-money printing law or something. I think the law says, don't quote me on it, I think the law says like the government cannot print money to like pay for debts or something. Fuck, I forgot the exact formulation of the law.
You have an
But
anti-MMT law, yeah.
It's a strong restriction on the government printing money, which I think it's overall good. I need to look into that again. But yeah, no, the 80s were wild. The 80s were funny. That's why if you look at a graph of Israel's inflation historically, it's like you cannot see any differences because we have just like this one insane peak in the 80s. So it's just like
Yeah.
even if inflation becomes like tomorrow 10%, you're not gonna see it because it was like 500% in 1992. So it's just like okay.
Yeah. Well,
But
we had an dude. I might make a short video about this. There's this graph that's like looking at CPI, and it's like, oh, inflation is much higher than it actually is. It's actually triple what the government's telling us because if you use the pre 1983 methodology, then inflation's actually triple what it is. And like the first issue you can look at, it says inflation is higher now than it was like in the 70s, and it's like, well, that's not true. It's like it's almost no way that could be the case.
Right? What is it? Is it not shadow stats?
No, it's I don't. Maybe it is shadow stats actually, but I don't think it's a shadow stats thing.
Yeah, I know. Shadow stats is retarded, and a lot of Austrians types would use that instead. Where it's like actually inflation is a gorillion %. You don't know that.
Yeah.
Though. But yeah, that's shadow stats. This graph is shadow stats.
But there's another one. I think I have a bookmark on Twitter. It basically shows the same graph.
Oh. Yeah, that's
but it's
dumb.
It's dumb.
Yeah, super dumb. By the way, wait. If you want some like really useful thing on debating housing ever, or like, did you ever talk to someone who denies like supply and demand or something?
Not denies supply and demand. But I have talked to some people who deny that corporate taxes reduce wages even at all, which is interesting. But
that's dumb. But yeah, look at this. Oh my god, I'm doing the Nickelback thing. Look at this graph, okay? Just check out the first graph, okay? And this Fed notes.
Months of supply left scale, price change right scale.
Like they're just inverses. They're just inverses. You build more housing, prices maybe not decline, but the rate of increase declines. So it's just like obviously obvious. But this graph is trash. It's total trash. I made it again in Tableau. Let me send you because this graph is formatted horribly, so I made it again. And they use good data. It's from Zillow and whatever. But yeah. Wait. You should remove that image and use the one I sent you. This is my reformulation. It looks better. Right?
Yeah.
Better. This graph sucks. I don't know how that got posted on the Fed website, but yeah. But yeah. I think Chris Clark has a video on shadow stats. If you ever want that, but yeah.
Yeah. This isn't the shadow stats graph, but it's using basically the same thing where they used a pre-1983 methodology, which instead of doing the owner's equivalent rent for CPI, which owner's equivalent rent has issues, they were looking at like actual expenditures. But like the big issue with this, which is actually what these people are doing, the reason they change it is so people like aren't retarded like this person is that like when interest rates go up to slow inflation, that makes the mortgage rate goes up, and now we're measuring like mortgage rates going up, so it like makes inflation look super high. Which you can actually like see that here, like this big spike is from mortgage rates going up because the interest rates were so high at the peak of inflation.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah. But that's why that explains. I never thought about that, right? Like what should you not see it then a decrease during COVID or something because interest rates were like 0? Well,
like I don't know how much that affected people's. Well, no, it should have, but
maybe I don't know. Either way, look again, official CPI, then it's government approved and government defines truth. So yeah. But yeah, I don't trust any like unorthodox stat or maybe for like dumb countries or something. That's a bad phrase, but yeah. for Argentina, people again, everyone talks about the poverty rate in Argentina, but they always like cite this one university study estimate or whatever. But the official estimates, I don't think changed much. So yeah, I don't know. People, I'm very incredulous of. Is that the term, incredulous? I'm very skeptical of any like you know, estimate or unapproved thing for an official metric.
Yeah, this is the extent of my knowledge. I see people post something about Argentina, and then I see SDL reply. He boosted poverty rate over 50%. He raised the unemployment from 6 to 8%. The economy is shrinking. He cut dozens of essential services. Argentina's reward really successfully reduced inflation from 210% down to 270%. But I don't know. I don't know. I've seen so many conflicting things.
What a retarded talking point. He's less than a year in office. What the fuck do you expect to happen, retard? What the fuck? Yeah, I think inflation rate was like literally 2, or like in some foods it was like literally decreasing or 0, but like in some months it was like 2. Yeah, inflation is still gonna be high. Wait, what did he say about the economy shrinking? What's the source for that? The economy shrinking?
He just says the economy is shrinking, but yeah, I don't know what he means by that. And also, he mentions that like he cut dozens of essential services, which just means cutting government spending and government services, and also that the unemployment rate increased, and those two things are probably related.
Yeah, I expect unemployment to increase. Like I don't know if there's this website, Malay Reform Tracking or something. Let me find it. SDL is like, look. SDL is kind of like a mini Ben Burgess. The way I interpret what he says is just like what the left wing position should be, or like how much left can I go? That's like what I interpret him to say most of the time. No offense. If SDL, if you're watching this, I like you. You're cool, you're funny, but this ain't it. Let me find it.
I said I can't have you burning my bridges, okay?
Whoa.
Econoboy is a certified non-fun fan now.
That's right. Econoboy is based. Econoboy is like super based. But Micah is better. Micah is goated. Sorry. Here, Malay Reform Watch, this website. Let me find it. Is it loading? It tracks a bunch of like indices about Malay and whatnot. I don't know if they have any papers yet. But yeah, labor monitor, maybe that's gonna be the one. They have a labor monitor and macro econ monitor. And yeah, I don't think unemployment increased that much. GDP definitely did not decrease, I think. Maybe it did. Wait, let me look. Real GDP is lower. But that's because of inflation. Whereas okay, I don't know. Like you would expect, let me try to find stuff. Like you would expect real GDP to decline for the government spending part of it, but yeah, I don't know. I should look into that. But yeah, no, inflation dramatically decreased. I don't know why he's like citing yearly rates. I don't know. Give him 4 years, okay? You'll get to see that. And real wages have increased, so I don't know what he's talking about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And housing. He's doing a lot of good stuff on housing. I should organize all the data in once. But yeah, I don't know. This Malay denialism, I'm not here for it. I'm not going to stand. I'm not going to... Send me the SDL tweet, by the way, if you can.
Yeah.
Let me kill this fly. I know I'm vegan, but I do kill flies.
Wow.
Sorry, not sorry. Whoa, I got a new DM from Nonfont. Oh my god, I'm so happy.
From Nonfont, the YouTuber? The Nonfont YouTuber.
Let's go.
I got a DM from this dude the other day that just said, "Are you Nonfont, the YouTuber?"
Whoa.
And
Whoa.
He's like some weird right-wing guy that like barely speaks English, and he's like, "Can you come on my show?"
Let's go.
And I was like, "What's your show?" And he was like, "Well, I had to temporarily abolish my show because of difficulties."
Let's go.
So I don't really know. I don't know what he means by that. I don't know if I'm gonna go on his show.
I mean, maybe. Why not? I mean, you should watch an episode of the show and judge for yourself.
Well, he's abolished the show, so I don't like. he used the word abolish. I don't know why he used that word, but
the people's show. But yeah. Aye. Why can't SDL just hand it to Malay? Just give it, give him the credit he deserves. Crazy guy. But yeah.
Yeah. Also, Kinley, you're in the fucking YouTube Shorts chat again, okay? Just know, I do stream horizontally, okay? Libertarianism is mid, localism is better. We've had this conversation so many times, localist, so many times. I don't want to grow my own food. I don't want to do it. I want to go to the grocery store and have my based, globalish, grown in Argentina, packaged in Thailand pear fruit cup, okay? Okay?
One world government. One world Zionist occupied government. Let's go. Total victory. Total victory. Yeah. Let's go. That's my idea. Yeah, I don't know what localism is much, but it sounds either like federalism versus localism, which then maybe, or just like stuff when that's done.
Some of his points are like fine and could be interesting. Like he supports like nullification, states being able to nullify laws they believe is unconstitutional. Maybe there's an argument to be had there, and he wants decisions to be made on like the lowest level possible. So he basically thinks states and local governments should have more rights or whatever, and they should make more decisions. But then he also has this like really cringe point of like, well, I think we should have no big farms, or I don't think he says no big farms, but like local communities should own their own farms and grow their own food and build their own houses, and we shouldn't have construction companies building them. We should just have the local community do it. We shouldn't have big farms. The local community should just do it.
I think the people who live in like the north or like in very cold areas should like grow their own tropic fruits or tropical fruits, whatever the term. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think people in the desert should grow their own like fruit. I agree with that.
He believes in local self-sufficiency, he says.
I mean, just trade is based. I mean, just
exactly. I've gone over so many times, like comparative advantage, Tiger Woods shouldn't mow his own lawn. Like,
there's this book I was reading. I stopped in the middle to read another book. I do that all the time. But it was like, wait, fuck, what's the name of the book? I don't want to get it wrong. 1 second. Wait. Oh my god. Zotero is giving me a problem. Here, What's Wrong with Protectionism? It's by, I think it's a Mercator Center. You know that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think either that or George Mason University. I forgot which one.
Yeah, Mercator Center.
Here, yeah. Published in partnership with the Mercator Center at George Mason University. Okay. Yeah, that's a good book. It debunks like protectionist stuff. It's I think the author is semi-libertarian. I don't care. I try to read people who like with different viewpoints. I know I'm like that. I'm like that. But yeah, I don't know.
You believe in local self-sufficiency. You're often going to also believe in local control of government, but not always vice versa. Okay, well that doesn't address that point, but
I
will never be as good as you at gathering fruits. I can trade you moose. Oh, but they're just talking about trade. Okay, what'd you say?
You should just I don't want to. You shouldn't really waste time on like people with like, I think you should grow your own medicine or whatever. You should debate Trumpists. You should find Trumpists and debate them because that's more important now. I think.
Yeah, there aren't many of them on the Twitch politics scene really, but
good. Yeah.
There's Minar, but
oh god, yeah.
But I think I've exhausted most of the Trump talking points I can get from him.
No, it's funny. People will be like, "Oh, I want to lower taxes," and then, "Oh, what do you think of tariffs?" I love tariffs. Okay,
I know, yeah, which are literally just a regressive tax, but that's cool. Yeah,
let's go. No, I mean,
but China pesos.
That's right. They do. The U.S. taxes Chinese businesses. does. It
Yeah.
really does. They have
And they pay them.
restrictions.
It's wild. You know, you would think we wouldn't have like the enforcement mechanisms to, you know, go after people who don't pay them, but it's so nice of them that they somehow pay them. Yeah.
Are you doing wait, I sent you the Trump research book, right?
Yeah.
Bro, that's like that website is so based, so epic.
Yeah.
I think it was made with Wiki.js, yeah. It's a base website. The UI is trash, but yeah. I don't know. Thank you for you did a lot of January 6th reading. That I listened to that. That was based.
Yeah, I need to do more. I think I'm gonna read a lot of the J6 report. Which would take a while, but I don't think it won't take that long.
Maybe, I don't know how thick that report is, but you read that thing where it's like a comprehensive timeline of the electorate,
Yeah.
or whatever. that was a good article. But yeah. Oh, that's bad. Wait, what about NGDP targeting? You have a lot of sources on that, right?
Yeah, a lot of the Cato Institute stuff. I never finished reading it because other things came up, but I need to go back to reading them.
Fuck, I was talking, but Cato Institute has this website called like Downsize the Federal Government or something.
Yeah.
Actually, they're all over the place. Like, well, they're not all over the place in terms of like ideology. They're pretty consistently libertarian, but it's just one website will be like human progress, and it looks like based and progressive, like Revel Institute-esque. The other one is like literally destroy the government. It's like, okay, whatever. It's both Cato. It's like, okay, whatever. They have like a whole blog post about privatization and whatnot. And I sometimes, when I argue with the like socialists, I'll just cite random things from that blog post. I don't know if I believe all of it. I like trolling people. Look, I like the truth, but I like finding it on. I don't think talking to random people online is the best way to find it. So, and random people online are just ones and zeros on my computer to entertain me. So I'll just troll a lot. But yeah. But yeah. Like, what does it even mean to find the truth? Like, how do you find the government? Right? I just don't.
Yeah, I don't know. How do you contact Kamala Harris to figure it out?
That's right. She said that though. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. It was the New Zealand.
I have not played Base Engineer.
I don't know. I don't want to fly to New Zealand to doctor. No. Social distancing, right? Did you get your 12th boost shot?
Yep, obviously. So I can be strong enough to go out and vote for Kamala. Dude, she didn't pick our fucking. He withdrew. One of the people who could have been vice president was from my state, and he withdrew because he's dumb and stupid. But
Cooper.
Yeah, Roy Cooper.
Yeah.
My man.
Are you Waltz pilled? Are you Shapiro pilled?
I mean, I haven't followed it really since since Roy Cooper dropped out. But
okay.
I don't have strong opinions. I saw someone sent that apparently Shapiro maybe covered up a murder somehow. I need to read that.
But what?
Covered up a murder apparently somehow.
Murder.
Yeah, when he was like district attorney, he like argued somebody who was stabbed 2 times after they died somehow killed themselves.
Based.
But I don't remember. I haven't read into the specifics.
I just support him because like the Palestine protests are KKK and like yeah. So no, I mean no. I'm leaning Shapiro, but Waltz is also based. I'm ambivalent, and probably you should be too. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't care that much, but
I didn't follow Cooper that closely. I don't know what Micah is posting on Twitter about like how it should be Buttigieg. He's tripping. He's insane. He's completely derailed.
What's wrong with Buttigieg?
He's not gonna be VP ever. He's not a good pick. He's just not gonna be popular.
I don't think he wants to be VP. I don't think he's ever expressed interest in it. But like I don't know. I don't think it's that bad. There's a bunch of progressives that I talk to who don't want to vote for Kamala but would vote for Buttigieg. So there's that.
Really? What progressives?
Yeah.
The wonky gay guy? I don't know. Maybe.
There's
It should be Jared Polis. That the moment Jared Polis was like, I don't want to be VP, I knew it's like over. I bet 80 shekels with a friend that Trump's gonna win. I think Trump's gonna win but I'm way less confident now. I bet like a week ago. I'm way less confident.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the
Can
polls
you
for
believe
Kamala
that
have been pretty good.
Biden dropped out only 12 days ago. Right? That's insane.
I know, yeah, it's been so fast. And nobody has talked about him since. It's wild. The only...
Yeah, good. They should. They should look.
But I like Biden. I feel bad. Like, no one talks about him anymore. And like...
Yeah, but get with the plan. Get with the... Yeah. I mean,
but I did. But I read so many no opinion blog posts about Biden and how he's good, and now...
And you're gonna read so much more about Kamala. That's exciting.
She hasn't even done anything, bro. Well, that's not true.
Don't be burdened by what has been, okay? Don't be burdened by what
yeah,
has
I need to think about what can be. You're right.
That's right. That's the spirit. Dude, I'm investing in all the coconut stocks. I'm a good investor. I'm rational.
Dude, she needs to start selling coconut merch. Like,
yeah,
Biden on their shop had...
Biden, one of the best things he did was like own the dark brand in me.
Yeah,
but
Kamala isn't selling like coconut merch yet, but...
She should like sell coconut merch. She should be like I don't know, some like broken chains and it's like unburdened by what has been or something. But now it's all just like boring stuff like basically I'm with her 2.0 or some shit. I don't like it. She also
she does have pride flags made of her different color suits, which is odd, but you know, cool.
Damn. Oh yeah. I guess, yeah, that's dumb. But whatever. If people are gonna buy it, then buy it. Let's go. Buy Pride. Let's go. Where's straight Pride? Trump should sell straight Pride. I'll buy that.
He sold his sneakers and he sold a Bible, so I mean...
NFTs and whatnot, yeah.
Oh, NFTs.
That was so dumb. That was obviously a scam. I don't know how Trump gets donations still. He just scammed this fucking base. I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah, I don't know.
It'll be like... It'll be over the... I don't know. He'll be like... It'll be like a court finds him like criminal and guilty of murder and like whatever. And then it'll be like, donate to me. And then everyone donates to him. I don't get it.
I need to do more reading on the Trump University thing because I'm pretty sure he got... It might have been just civilly sued for it, but I'm pretty sure he like literally defrauded people with Trump University, which was not a real university, but somehow
based in Prager build. Let's go.
Yeah.
Trump University. There
was like some defamation claim that he could set.
Is there anything in the Trump research book on the Trump University?
It was before he was ever president, so there might not be, but...
They have some personal stuff. It's not just about his record. But I can find it. I don't know if that's the most important thing. I don't know if the marginal...
No, it's definitely not the most important thing, but...
But with how schizophrenic the average conservative is, it might be. Like, you need to be ready for everything. Oh, you use Perplexity a lot? I don't know if I trust Perplexity a lot. It just like it gives me just like the Google search with headlines.
Yeah. Good. Trump University marketed itself as a legitimate educational institution, promising to teach students Donald Trump's real estate secrets and strategies for success. However, it was not an accredited university and did not offer any official recognized degrees or qualifications. I think he got in trouble for this before he got in trouble for all the things he did as president. But people
will donate for that shit. It will be like Trump defrauded, murdered, and like, you know, just, I don't know, kicked a puppy or something and be like, donate to me. They're persecuting me.
Well, I mean, it's just proof that he's fighting against the deep state, you know, because they wouldn't be indicting him if he wasn't fighting against them. So.
True. They want to make you eat bugs and not kick puppies. That's where we're gonna like murder cows and like kick puppies. That's based. But I don't know. It's dumb. It's all dumb.
Yep. We probably dumb, but
well,
I
agree.
Anything else?
Whoa, I got on. Yeah, it's over for me. It's over. Yeah, I'm tired. It's almost 6 a.m. I'm probably gonna sleep for like 2 hours or something. But talk to you
I gotta
later.
read.
It was fun.
But it was fun. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, you have perms to join us anytime. I gave you them a while ago. You can, I'm not always in it when I stream, but you can just DM me.
Yeah, if I have something, I'll hop in. But I just wanted, I wanted to talk about the time prices thing because did you read the superabundance thing or did you read their article about like the nostalgia?
I read their like nostalgia globalization article, and then once you mentioned it, I looked into it, and I saw the.
Oh,
yeah, I only looked at it once you told me. So yeah.
So that might be something interesting if you ever debate Austrians or something. You should look into it more than I have. But like the George Gilbert or Gilder, I don't know his name. In his book says the time prices are evidence against like central banks fucking up shit. That's funny. But I don't know if he's truthful. Again, he's like one of the founders of the Discovery Institute who are just like total fraud liars. So I don't know if I put any stock in what he's saying. In the book, he's literally like saying something like, just as Darwin thought that the theory of evolution could disprove God or something, the same people think that like their theory of degrowth or something can debunk the gains of capitalism. It was some dumb shit. That's like retarded. Like actual fucking zero IQ. Yeah.
The postmodern neo-Darwinist.
Let's go. Yeah, they want to push on you science. It's bad. But yeah, well, talk to you later. Oh, wait, do you have any pets?
Yeah, I have a cat and a dog and a turtle.
Can I see the cat?
I don't know where he is right now. He's probably upstairs or something. I don't think he's in my room.
If you have a photo, send it my way.
No, I have a lot of photos I can send, yeah.
Oh, I have my cat here. She's sleeping. I'm vegan. She's not. Okay, it's I'm rarely home. Okay, it's not my family who feeds her. But yeah, I don't know. I don't push it on other people. Whatever. Oh, it was fun. I'm gonna go to sleep now. Bye bye. Talk to you later.
Bye bye. Yep. Thanks. Well, I gotta find a picture of my cat. I have a lot on my phone. I don't know how many I have on my computer. Okay, well, I have this one. There's a ton more on my phone of him looking real dumb. Or I could go to my Instagram story and take some from there, but maybe to my phone as a webcam, so I can't just use my phone to send them. Alright, well, I did what I wanted to do in Minecraft, was just make this ocean home that, because Bedrock is stupid, normal doors don't block water, but iron doors do, but iron doors have the drawback of that. So there is that issue. Oh wait, I'm dumb. Holy shit, I'm dumb. I can just use fence gates, can't I? Probably make fence gates. Oh wait, shit. Oh no, I'm good. Okay. God, I hate that. I'm not used to the Bedrock fucking layout for this shit. Okay. Okay, I think I can just use a fence gate. Hell yeah. Okay, we're good. God damn it, I left it open. Okay, let me break these so they can't fucking... Well, I can leave the one inside, I guess, but... Aha, get fucked, dude. Get fucked. Get fucked. Fire. Okay. Hold on, let me DM me real quick.
A panel discussion on the progressive movement. Is it succeeding? Is it failing? Where is it going wrong? Where is it going right? We'll be joined by Brianna Wu, Executive Director of Rebellion PAC and former candidate for U.S. House in Massachusetts, Claudia Dela Cruz, community organizer, currently running for president as a third-party candidate with the Party for Socialism and Liberation, and Readin Econ, the progressive activist and co-director of Losing Puerto Rico, a coalition campaign seeking to abolish a tax cut available in Puerto Rico. Let's discuss. So we are starting to look back at and think about next steps when it comes to the candidacy of President Joe Biden. We've all seen the debate. And this conversation about November is now sort of happening concurrently and interwoven with the conversation about the future of the progressive movement and whether the Democratic Party is the venue for that. We saw some interesting losses last week, including that in the primary for Jamal Bowman, which maybe we will talk about. So just to start somewhere, I'll start with you, Brianna, because Zoom put you in the leftmost box. So we'll just start there. You've made some criticisms of the state of the progressive movement. You've some quite pointed, in fact, with regard to some of the attitudes. You used the words cannibalistic and abusive in some viral tweets. Assess where you think this movement is right now and to what degree Biden is a good shepherd of that movement.
So, I was so happy that Nomiki was going to be on the show with me today because, I feel like you faced a lot of these same forces. When I got into progressive politics a decade ago, it was really focused on women's rights. Today, it feels like the progressive movement just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Today, I think those same women getting harassed online would be called Karens. I think we are chopping off every single part of our coalition in ways that are making very hard for us to win elections. I think what you're seeing right now with the war in Gaza is I think you're seeing progressivism unfortunately veer into straight anti-Semitism. And this entire time, the progressive movement has not done the bread and butter work that you need to do to win elections. Making fundraising lists, building up data infrastructure, building up candidates, and really building the coalition that we need to build in order to win elections. So
PPG's never responded to my DM before, so we'll see if he does this time.
Unfortunately, I think progressives are kind of giving into our worst instincts in ways that very tragically are making us unable to govern and unable to win elections.
What do you think about that, Nomiki, as far as Brianna sees it?
I think the premise is pretty correct. I mean, it seems like somewhere around, 2019, 2020, in the lead up to the presidential election where Bernie Sanders ran again, there were plenty of groups. There was a lot of hope. Obviously, the squad got elected. There were progressive wins all over the country. DSA was growing, which I was a member of. And then something started to change internally. And, I've briefly kind of talked about this a lot behind the scenes, probably not so much publicly, but I think it is a time where we have to say, we as a left need to learn from history. And, we're not killing progressives, unless you're from Black and brown communities, but organized in terms of let's say the 60s, we're not killing the progressive movement physically anymore. They're eating it up. And I'm of the belief it doesn't necessarily mean that progressives are going after each other intentionally. I think that we're falling for strategies. I'm being very careful with my words, I'm sorry. We're falling for something that is being led by folks that are intentionally setting up debates so that we eat each other alive. It's not just—
Can you give a couple of examples of that?
Yeah. So, okay, let's just get there. In 2020, suddenly you had this group of so-called progressive online, folks all echoing force the vote, not understanding how Congress worked. And then basically, if you challenged them, you were being annihilated online. And anytime you called that out or you went into, the comment section and you looked into who was, echoing them, there were a lot of bots. It doesn't mean that everybody was a bot. There are influencers. There are folks who, are paid to, this is not a secret out there, a lot of people are paid to tweet a certain way professionally and sometimes from other folks. There are other folks who are incentivized, suddenly their followings grew out of nowhere.
We need a second Mueller report too. People don't like the Russiagate Mueller report stuff for some reason. Liberals are for some reason ashamed of it. Just because they couldn't prove collusion. But I'm pretty sure, I haven't read the Mueller report, but they talk in there. I'm pretty sure they talk just about Facebook pages that were taken out by Russia. Yeah, IRA spent over $100,000 for 3,500 Facebook advertisements, which included anti-Clinton and pro-Trump advertisements. The reports list IRA created groups on Facebook to include purported conservative groups, Tea Party News, and purported black social justice groups, black activists, LGBTQ groups, and religious groups. Several Trump campaign members linked to reposted material from IRA's at 10 GOP Twitter account. I'm sure there's people trying to track it. I'm sure Twitter and Facebook try to track it, and they may even release some of their stuff. But there needs to be, and maybe there is. People just don't talk about it. Maybe there needs to be another big report like this. I don't care. Well, sorry, I do care that if the Trump campaign is colluding with Russia or whatever. But I just want to know. I want a big report about the prevalence of of like Russia-funded pages on Twitter or Facebook, probably mainly Twitter, and maybe China as well. China and Iran could be getting involved as well, although it's probably mostly Russia.
Or their YouTube shows, we're getting tips from who knows where, and then they're just straight up bots. And they all boost narratives. And then simultaneously, I mean, Brianna knows this very well because she was a victim of Gamergate. That was the incubator for this kind of operation. So that's one side of it. And then on the other side, you know, you saw the left kind of beating each other alive. And some of these people are who were, by the way, some of these people weren't even on the left in 2016. I mean, it's comical to me that there's some people who jump online and character assassinate others based on falsehoods. Like, I've had everything from me. I'm NATO, I'm CIA, I'm this, I'm that. Like, you name it, it's come after me. But I also know that's because, you know, my bread and butter was investigating finances. Or like, you're in bed with DNC. I'm like, last time, look, I was in trouble with the DNC for investigating finances.
But no, Miki, if I can just jump in for 2 seconds here. I mean, I think you yourself have been a victim of the same forces that I'm talking about. You ran for office in New York, right? And I saw you get the mean, progressive, cannibal treatment from our own side. Now, I'm not saying I agree with every one of your stances in that race, but I think it's honorable to try to run for office. And you were treated like a traitor, like an enemy. You had personal
viewers on. That's the man. The website links have really gotten worse. Okay, safe dude.
At you. I've suffered this exact same thing standing up for Israel, right? And not even Israel, but American Jews. So I think there's something fundamentally broken that we can't blame on bots. There's something we've decided to make ourselves the enemy.
Let me bring in Claudia if I can just briefly, just because there's a lot here and I want to make sure before we get beyond it, you get an opportunity to react. So a couple things there, and of course, Claudia, anything you heard there that you want to react to, absolutely go ahead, but a couple specific things. Do you agree that, to some degree, with what's been said, that the apparent fracturing is being made to seem bigger than it is through manipulation, bots, astroturfing, whatever, or do you think that it is all genuine discontent? And number two, to Brianna's earlier comment, do you think that anti-Semitism has become, I don't know if I would use the word growing, let's call it a notable problem within the progressive left?
Well, I'm going to jump in as an organizer of over 30 years, and as someone who continues to do grassroots organizing and a lot of political education. I think it's fundamental to understand that the Democratic Party as an institution has historically buried progressive voices. It's not new. It has historically done that. And, you know,
don't you know the 2020 primary is rigged? Fuck, we got to read that Vox article too. Oh, okay. Oh, fuck. Okay. I don't know how that probably won't be super relevant to the wealth tax debate. Okay, and we should read some of this book too. Okay, shit. We got a lot of reading to do. Okay, fuck. Hold on. I need to check. He's not streaming. Okay. Oh.
Monster Hunter now is a.
I should challenge NRK Live to the wealth tax debate too. Maybe I'll do it after whenever. Okay. Oh, perfect. Okay. Hold on. Let me finish setting this one thing up, and then I'll. Fuck, but I want to farm this video. Okay. Hold on. I'm drawing a complaint. Okay. Is there anything else? Is there anything else that's like that I need to react to? This is a lot of this stuff is just gonna be like background stuff. If I'm ever just playing video games and need something to. Can't even, that's irrelevant by now. Because they were talking about Biden versus Trump, and then Biden dropped out and they had to rename it. Also, what is Alex Stein in it? And I don't want to watch him. And also, Jubilee copy strikes me for watching this stuff on YouTube. So, okay. I think we'll react to this. Okay. This is not that long. If I watch it on 2 times speed, it's like 30 minutes. Okay. And then we'll start reading this stuff. Okay. We're good. Okay. I can finish coordinating people later. The Israel notes. Get my Destiny copy stream layout. Okay, I don't know, fuck, but if I want, hold on, if I want to make a YouTube video out of it, I should probably start at the beginning, and I need to milk the YouTube viewers, so I am gonna restart. Hold on, give me that, guys. All right, I'm gonna put my jacket on, and then we'll be good. Okay, all right. Then let's tell this person. Maybe if I do 12 a.m. tomorrow, what time does the boss do stuff? Okay. Switching over to YouTube React mode. I will. There's still like some Discord DMs I have to respond to. All right, David Packman. Progressive civil war explodes over Israel Gaza. This will be interesting. I think it has Brianna Wu and like some other random socialist people that I don't know about. Although Brianna Wu is not necessarily a socialist. She's a progressive, but yeah.
Today we'll be having a panel discussion on the progressive movement. Is it succeeding? Is it failing? Where is it going wrong? Where is it going right? We'll be joined by Brianna Wu, Executive Director of Rebellion PAC and former candidate for U.S. House in Massachusetts, Claudia Dela Cruz, community organizer, currently running for president as a third-party candidate with the Party for Socialism and Liberation, and Nomik Econ, the progressive activist and co-director of Losing Puerto Rico, a coalition campaign seeking to abolish a tax cut available in Puerto Rico. Let's discuss. So we are starting to look back at and think about next steps when it comes to...
Oh, they don't want rich people. Okay, I was really confused. Why do they... Because I was like, why the fuck do they want to get rid of taxes in Puerto Rico? They don't want fucking rich people moving into Puerto Rico with the tax cuts. Okay.
The candidacy of President Joe Biden, we've all seen the debate. And this conversation about November is now sort of happening concurrently and interwoven with the conversation about the future of the progressive movement and whether the Democratic Party is the venue for that. We saw some interesting losses last week, including that in the primary for Jamal Bowman, which maybe we will talk about. So just to start somewhere, I'll start with you, Brianna, because Zoom put you in the leftmost box. So we'll just start there. You've made some criticisms of the state of the progressive movement. You've some quite pointed, in fact, with regard to some of the attitudes. You used the words cannibalistic and abusive in some viral tweets. Assess where you think this movement is right now and to what degree Biden is a good shepherd of that movement.
So, I was so happy that Nomiki was going to be on the show with me today because, I feel like you faced a lot of these same forces. When I got into progressive politics a decade ago, it was really focused on women's rights. Today, it feels like the progressive movement just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Today, I think those same women getting harassed online would be called Karens. I think we are chopping off every single part of our coalition in ways that are making it very hard for us to win elections. I think what you're seeing right now with the war in Gaza is I think you're seeing progressivism, unfortunately, veer into straight anti-Semitism. And this entire time, the progressive movement has not done the bread and butter work that you need to do to win elections. Making fundraising lists, building up data infrastructure, building up candidates, and really building the coalition that we need to build in order to win elections. So, unfortunately, I think progressives are kind of giving into our worst instincts in ways that very tragically are making us unable to govern and unable to win elections.
What do you think about that, Nomiki, as far as Brianna sees it?
I think the premise is pretty correct. I mean, it seems like somewhere around, 2019, 2020, in the lead up to the presidential election where Bernie Sanders ran again, there were plenty of groups. There was a lot of hope. Obviously, the squad got elected. There were progressive wins all over the country. DSA was growing, which I was a member of. And then something started to change internally. And, I've briefly kind of talked about this a lot behind the scenes, probably not so much publicly, but I think it is a time where we have to say, we as a left need to learn from history. And, we're not killing progressives unless you're from Black and brown communities, but I mean, organized in terms of let's say the 60s, we're not killing the progressive movement physically anymore. They're eating it up. And I'm of the belief it doesn't necessarily mean that progressives are going after each other intentionally. I think that we're falling for strategies. I'm being very careful with my words. I'm sorry. We're falling for something that is being led by folks that are intentionally setting up debates so that we eat each other alive. It's not just.
Can you give a couple of examples of that?
Yeah. So, I mean, okay, let's just get there. In 2020, suddenly you had this group of so-called progressive online.
If you're in any progressive community, you should know the purity testing that goes on in some of these progressive communities is insane. If you disagree with them the slightest bit, I'm banned from r/late stage capitalism and r/socialism. I was banned from them 3 or 4 years ago when I was still a socialist, right? I disagreed with them a little bit. I think the thing that got me banned from r/socialism was like, I was like, maybe guys, just maybe we shouldn't celebrate the violent reunification of Vietnam, even if it was under your whatever socialist regime that you like to fucking support or whatever. They didn't like that one. I forget exactly what it did in late stage capitalism to get banned, but
folks all echoing force the vote, not understanding how Congress worked. And then basically, if you challenged them, you were being annihilated online. And anytime you called that out, or you went into, the comments section and you looked into like who was, echoing them, there were a lot of bots. It doesn't mean that everybody was a bot. There are influencers. There are folks who, are paid to, this is not a secret out there. Like, there are a lot of people who are paid to tweet a certain way, professionally, and sometimes from other folks. There are other folks who are incentivized, like suddenly their followings grew out of nowhere, or their YouTube shows were getting tips from who knows where, and then they're just straight up bots. And they all boost narratives. And then simultaneously, Brianna knows this very well because she was a victim of Gamergate. That was the incubator for this kind of operation. So that's one side of it. And then on the other side, you saw the left kind of beating each other alive, and suddenly these people are who were, by the way, some of these people weren't even on the left in 2016. It's comical to me that there's some people who jump online and character assassinate others based on falsehoods. Like, I've had everything around me. I'm NATO, I'm CIA, I'm this, I'm that. Like, you name it, it's come after me. But I also know that's because my bread and butter was investigating just like finances. Or like, you're in bed with DNC. I'm like, last time looked, I was in trouble with the DNC for investigating.
But Nomiki, if I can just jump in for 2 seconds here. I think you yourself have been a victim of the same forces that I'm talking about. You ran for office in New York, right? And I saw you get the mean progressive cannibal treatment from our own side. Now, I'm not saying I agreed with every one of your stances in that race, but I think it's honorable to try to run for office. And you're treated like a traitor, like an enemy. You had personal stuff thrown at you. I've suffered this exact same thing standing up for Israel, right? And not even Israel, but American Jews. I think there's something fundamentally broken that we can't blame on bots. There's something we've decided to make ourselves the enemy.
Let me bring in Claudia, if I can, just briefly, just because there's a lot here, and I want to make sure before we get beyond it, you get an opportunity to react. So a couple things there, and of course, Claudia, anything you heard there that you want to react to, absolutely go ahead. But a couple specific things. Do you agree that, to some degree, with what's been said, that the apparent fracturing is being made to seem bigger than it is through manipulation, bots, astroturfing, whatever? Or do you think that it is all genuine discontent? And number two, to Brianna's earlier comment, do you think that anti-Semitism has become, I don't know if I would use the word growing, let's call it a notable problem within the progressive left?
Well, I'm going to jump in as an organizer of over 30 years. And as someone who continues to do grassroots organizing and a lot of political education, I think it's fundamental to understand that the Democratic Party as an institution has historically buried progressive voices. It's not new. It has historically done that. And, and this is something going back to the 1940s with Henry Wallace, Jesse Jackson in the 1980s. Bernie Sanders is a great example in 2016 and 2020.
When they rigged the primary.
Bowman's campaign is so revealing of just how unwilling the Democratic Party is willing to allow opposition, even the discussion of opposition within its own party. And I think
maybe, it's possible that people just aren't as progressive as you think. It's possible. Maybe the reason Jamal Bowman lost or whatever, it's just because he had a lot of pro-Israel constituents. Maybe that could be the case. I'm just saying that, that's within the realm of possibility, right? Like, that could, maybe that's the case. Maybe
it's important to highlight that because it's part of the fabric of the Democratic Party. It's not something that's currently happening right now. And I want to put it in that context because I think it's important. The Democratic Party rather have someone like Biden, who obviously has showed us over and over again does not have the backbone to go toe-to-toe with Trump or the far right, instead of allowing any progressive voices to rise as a representation of the party. And so the Democratic Party, in my sense, is where progressive movements go die. That's the first piece. The second piece, in terms of the question of anti-Semitism, I think it's important to also think about the relationship of the United States, which is a historic relationship, with the state of Israel. And it's not something that started October 7th. That relationship has been there for over 76 years. The reality that Palestinians have experienced in terms of displacement, which is real, is factual, is there, has been happening for 76 years. I think it's very troubling and irresponsible to conflate anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism. Two very different things. There are Jews who are very much opposed to the occupation of the occupation that is currently existing in Palestine. And so I think for the sake of clarity and for the sake of historical context, those two things need to be put into the conversation.
We can separate them. Okay, that is the thing you can do. Okay, there's plenty of anti-Zionism that you could do without being too anti-Semitic, but also there are just some things that we can look at. Some signs that say go back to Poland. Maybe it wasn't at UCLA, but there were some signs. Fucking, where is it? Also, solidarity encampment. I know for sure there's at least one image of a sign that I've seen that says Jews go back to Europe. Protesters taunt go back to Poland is grotesque. It was like when maybe it was like we'll leave when Israel leaves. Jesus, when Israel leaves. God damn it! Okay, I can find it later. But point is, plenty genuine anti-Semitism that we could talk about.
I think that we are witnessing the political crisis that has been brewing for a long time in this country. Everything that is happening right now is a reflection of that political crisis, and also the crisis of legitimacy that the Democratic Party is actually facing. And it's not only an online problem, is a real on the grassroots problem. I mean, when you see the majority of people in this country that could engage in voting, not voting is not a matter of apathy. It's not a matter of people being apolitical. It's a matter of people feeling betrayed by the Democratic Party. Broken promises. And so it's a structural issue, it's a systemic issue, it's a historical
anti-Semitism, and on the left, let me talk about Israel instead of answering.
issue. And I think we need to look at it in that way if we're really trying to solve, in any way, shape, or form, the political crisis in which this country is in. And so, there was a mention of social media, there was a mention, and honestly, like, there's a whole world outside of social media. There's so many people in the United States that don't even have access.
This girl's avoiding the question. I mean, she did, to be fair, she did at least say that we should separate anti-Zionism from anti-Semitism.
To social media. And those people are not even counted in debates or conversations about politics.
It's not actually talking about if the left has done that or not, but
these are people like a lot of folks in the South who are low-wage workers, who are homeless, who have to literally sleep in their cars to go in and work the next day, who are getting paid less than minimum wage. And so I think we need to kind of touch grass a little bit and understand that there's a huge divorce that has happened between the so-called lesser of two evils and the people that they're supposed to be representing.
Brianna, what do you think about that? And a couple specific things that Claudia said there. The distinction that some on the left make between anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism, is that important to you, or do you think that that is actually a problematic distinction? And then as far as burying, whether it's Bernie or Jamal Bowman, did the Democratic Party bury them, or is it a reflection of voter preferences at the end of the day?
Okay, so let's go through this one at a time. I want to be really clear. I think that, this game that a lot of progressives are saying, like, oh, I'm not anti-Jewish, I'm just anti-Zionist. I think this is a game. I think this is nearly synonymous to what the Republicans do when they kind of have contempt for black people and hide it with some language. I don't think this is true. I think anyone that believes that Jewish people are believing this should go to a temple sometime and just talk to your Jewish neighbors. I cannot begin to tell you how many progressives that are Jewish here in Massachusetts that I know that will never vote for another progressive candidate again because they feel under attack every single day. They've been there for Black Lives Matter. They've been there for Me Too. They've been there for trans people, and they don't feel like progressives have their back, and they don't feel like Jewish people count. So I completely reject that argument. There are ways to talk about Israel and to talk about the foreign policy there and to talk about the aggression that's out of proportion with the issue at hand in Gaza, but we are not interested in doing that. We are leaning into crazy town, talking about dismantling Israel. You had a viral tweet a few days ago with someone talking about building a UN coalition to go in and forcibly dismantle Israel. So I just don't think that has credibility. Claudia, I also want to come back to some points that you said that I agree with, where you're talking about poor people that just don't show up in social media in debates in the South. I'm from Mississippi. I saw this over and over and over again. This is where I just cannot close my eyes and pretend that progressivism does not have a problem. I would really love an answer.
You also, most people are not on, neither of my parents, they might have Twitter accounts, but they never post anything on Twitter. They almost never post anything on Facebook. And when they do, it's not political. Most people are not online. The median voter is not terminally online. I hate to break it to you. So that's why the median voter is still pretty pro-Israel. It's just that progressives never see that because they're all in their terminally online space where everyone is either hyper pro-Palestine because you have a community where you have purity tested everyone, and if they're not hyper pro-Palestine, then you immediately kick them out, or they're in a different evil Zionist circle, which is everyone else not in the progressive community.
Answer to this. What is the damn plan to do that? Because I spent a decade in progressive politics trying to get data together, trying to get a data strategy together to just identify those people, to try to get a credible organization together, to go canvass, to try to raise money so we can get candidates and resources out there so they can actually win elections. The core problem with progressivism is we've got beautiful ideas and we have our finger on the pulse and we understand what isn't working in American politics, but there's almost no
This generation is just lazy. They're mansion that they thought after working one night shift at the gas station, 1960.
one that's serious about doing the work and specifically the fundraising to go get this done. You can yell about AIPAC until you're blue in the face, but the reality is everything AIPAC is doing is legal. They're playing a game, and progressives are just simply uninterested in playing that same game to get the policy that we want. So until we grow up, until we start cultivating a fundraising base, until we stop this fringe identity politics playbook that is just making us smaller and smaller, and get really serious about building coalitions and putting together the same tools that the Republicans and the Democrats and other organizations put together to win elections, we are going to lose. And the evidence that we are failing is the DSA is broke, Justice Democrats are broke, and we are losing right and left on the progressive side.
Claudia, I want to go back to you. If we can, okay, let's go to you. I want to go to Nomiki and get her thoughts, but go ahead, Claudia.
I want to jump in on two things. I think it's important again because the conflation comes back. So Zionism is an economic, political, colonial project. And
economic, political, colonial project.
Just as U.S. imperialism is that in the global South. And so if
and we're immediately comparing it to U.S. imperialism in the global South. Like if you say stuff like this, like I don't think you actually know. Like if you say stuff like this, I just immediately assume that you don't actually know. You don't actually know, like who did Israel negotiate with for the land of peace? What Egyptian prime minister? Like, can you answer that? Can you answer that? I don't think anyone who talks like this, I don't think they know very much. Not that like I know everything, but like holy shit.
Plays a particular role. It's not the same thing as Judaism. It's not the same thing as Jewish people. And I do have Jewish friends. I have Jewish friends that have historically stood against the extermination campaign of Palestinian people. Like there are diplomatic solutions that do not necessitate bombing entire communities. And so I wanted to say that because I think it's also necessary to say that.
What does that look like? What is a diplomatic solution with Hamas in power? Because I'm assuming if you're not in favor of bombing a whole country, you're in support of some type of like immediate ceasefire. What's a diplomatic solution look like there? Tell me, please.
The second piece in terms of like, where do you find these people? Fundraising. Why don't we not play? I think we need to define progressive because there's a progressive portion of people in electoral politics. And electoral politics is a piece of the pie. It's not the whole pie. Nothing that has been advanced in this country in history has been advanced solely through electoral politics. There have been social movements that have been historically annihilated by the state. Democrats and Republicans have done that job. And so I think it's important to say that as well, because when you say the left, you can not only subscribe that title to the left in electoral politics or to the progressives in electoral politics. There's a whole world outside of that. And I will bring it back to the majority of people who have, the possibility of voting that do not vote, and they do not engage in voting because they don't see their interest in either of the two parties. Right? Even with those that are progressive, who have come into the Democratic Party, whose voices have been shot, whose campaigns have been dismantled, and they have not delivered for the people they supposedly represent because the Democratic Party, those who are in leadership, do not allow for any of these things to move forward. There is an inherent agenda that is political and is economic that sustains the Democratic Party and sustains the Republican Party. And that is Wall Street money, that is corporate money, that is super PAC money. And if that's part of the equation, there's no way that the people will ever win. And so when you share about
who it's all controlled by? It's all controlled by the Zionist cabal.
Playing the same game, you're asking people to go into a rigged game in politics where voices like mine are shone. Bernie Sanders was not the most radical leftist. He was talking about things that could be gained under a capitalist system without minimally doing any type of tearing up to the capitalist system that sustains the Democratic Party. He was talking about universal healthcare. That is possible in the capitalist society. UK has it, and other countries have it as well. Access to free education, they have it. Why are people traveling to their native lands to get healthcare when they could get it here? If we were to stop financing war in many different fronts across the globe. And so I understand, you mentioned you were part of the progressive movement, but I also come from a left progressive movement since I was 13 years old that has very different politics.
Hey, Nomiki, I'm curious, without putting words in anyone's mouth, to kind of sum up, as I understood the last two things we heard, Claudia, for example, on the issue of Israel, Claudia laid out the view of seeing Israel as this colonial power related to the issues of the global South, whereas Brianna laid out that sort of rhetoric she thinks is not pragmatically useful to the progressive movement. What's your sense? Is that sort of language around something like the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, is it useful in the goal of electing progressives into positions of power, or is it counterproductive?
It depends on where you're running and what you're doing. I think we're making really broad statements about things. I live in New York. I happen to be in Europe right now seeking medical care, as Claudia mentioned. So I personally feel that deep in my heart. I was also on Bernie 2016 and 2020 and saw the vast differences in how those campaigns were structured, partially because of what Claudia said. The Democratic Party eats our movements alive. And in New York, specifically, we don't have really a Republican Party. Okay, there's some Republicans here and there. Obviously, you've got the crazies that run upstate. I grew up in Buffalo, straight out of Buffalo, or met several of them. But for the most part, it's a Democratic state in a Democratic city. Okay, so you have the Democratic Party, which was Cuomo's party for a long time, and you have the WFP, which I think nationally people think, oh, WFP, they're progressive. But historically, the WFP in New York State, if you've been around for longer than 5 years, you know how complicated that party was. It was born out of a right party in New York. And so suddenly they attached themselves to the DSA. And again, I'm a member of the DSA. I was very close to WFP. I was in inner circles. I was representing our revolution in New York. I was there at the table when these organizations were taken over by certain leaders. And they started this table called the Progressive Table. And every single progressive group was at this table. And they were all asked to support the same candidates and support the same issues. And suddenly who was spearheading everything? It was the WFP. So we no longer were talking about things like Medicare for all, Wall Street reform, accountability, taking on real estate, which is a big part of this. Suddenly it was about hashtag tax the rich. Okay, New York taxes the rich more than anybody else. What about taxing real estate, which is displacing people? Suddenly it was no longer about bread and butter issues that people care about. It was these divisive issues. And I think in the case of Jamal Bowman's race, where, and this has been reported now, I think it was quiet for a while, but he had a massive, in the last 6 months of his campaign, he went through
WFP, New York. Working Families Party. It was born out of a right-wing party, and they told the DSA to only focus on those issues, not talking about Medicare for all. Okay.
Several campaign managers, his team was pushed out, and then WFP took it over. And so I asked, why was there a rally outside of his district, a GOTV rally? Why was it that, AOC was collecting data and not Jamal Bowman? These are these are decisions that have a big impact on a race. And of course, AIPAC spent more money than possible on Jamal Bowman, symbolically trying to make AIPAC specifically, the progressive movement specifically about, this divide that you guys are having right now. But that is now what the progressive movement has become. Justice Democrats had to lay off a ton of people because online fundraising is down, the algorithms have shifted. Justice Democrat staff was taken over by WFP staff. I mean, these are real things to talk about. So when I ran 2 years ago, as Brianna mentioned, and everyone came after me, I ran in my district in a redistricting year, the only person that ran in my district, and DSA did not have nominations for the new districts in our district. Someone from outside of our district who had no experience in left movement, who worked for Amex, was the DSA darling. It's somebody who actually lived in the district, worked in progressive politics, was part of DSA, was shunned. Well, maybe that's because the DSC political committee was now taken over by WFP. And I'm saying this because this is how decisions are made. A lot of people know me from reforming the Democratic Party, being on that commission. What we had to do on that commission for 2 years was dismantle how the Democratic Party made decisions. We had to go through finances. We had to figure out who the consultants were on the steering committees. Shocker, the committee that oversees all of the Democratic Party is full of consultants who are not elected by the Democratic Party, but making decisions on behalf of the entire DNC. And many of them are representing weapons manufacturers. Many of them are representing, think tanks that are fairly conservative, bipartisan. So you have to look at these institutions in a very detailed way. So when I was smeared online for being a traitor, it's like a traitor for what? You guys didn't have an actual debate about who's the DSA candidate. There are people from outside of our district.
I'm so lost what this person's on about anymore. It literally just seems like they're complaining that the DSA didn't do things that they like.
And I'm just one example of many. So in the case of Joe Bowman, yes, AIPAC threw a crap ton of money at that district, but also internally, their campaign was overtaken and in dysfunction. And he, 5,000 votes divided? So AIPAC, all of that money, I believe that those 5,000 votes could have been overcome had there been actual detailed structural organizing in that district. And I feel really sad to see that because we've seen that with plenty of other candidates. Cori Bush has been pretty much abandoned, my dear friend, and she's like a real deal fighter. And they're waiting now for the last month to help out her campaign. August is her election, early August. So if we want to have progressive institutions, we have to understand how institutions work. We have to understand how people co-opt institutions. We have to understand how money flows.
Let's talk about that.
Online says something. Yeah.
Brianna, I mean, the Bowman case is an interesting one as a lens through which we can think about some of these things. Mm-hmm. What resonates more with you? Is it the AIPAC stuff? Because as far as I know, AIPAC has also funded opponents to some other squad members, but have failed, arguably because they were maybe better candidates than Bowman. Is it about Bowman as a candidate? Is it about some other thing? Is it the organizing, as Nomiki points out? What do you make of the Bowman case?
So I'm going to answer your question, but I just want to pause respectfully for a moment and say I asked Claudia and Nomiki a very direct question. And that question, to repeat, was where are we getting the money from and why can't we build a coalition? And I did not get an answer to either of those. Claudia, coming back to your answer a minute ago, respectfully, you talked very vaguely about past social justice movements. I come from Mississippi. We had the very famous murders in the civil rights era, just like very near my house, where Mississippi sheriff took out a service revolver and executed 3 people trying to register Black people to vote. 2 of those people were Jewish. You're talking about building movements of a lot of different people as an answer for the money. But the truth is the progressive coalition is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And I know you can't see it, but there are a lot of Jews in this country that are we have so much work to do to regain Jewish trust. And I don't know if it's even possible. I think there are a lot of other groups out there that we are losing trust with because they don't think we have their back. They feel like they are cannibalized and attacked every single time they have a very slight difference of opinion. And I think that without money, without people, without data, without a strategy, I don't see how we succeed. David, coming back to your question there, I want to answer it very directly. Bowman was a very flawed candidate, and it's very easy to blame AIPAC, but Bowman did not take care of stuff at home. If you go read the quotes of people that were talking about why they didn't support him, it was things like school teachers in the district that talked about how they would see Latimer every few weeks, and they'd only seen Bowman like 1 or 2 times over the entire time he had served as their congressman. So I think that AIPAC, it's very, very easy to blame AIPAC, but the reality is Bowman was down before the race and he finished down after the race. AIPAC just basically made sure there was not a change there. We cannot like AIPAC, we cannot like money in politics. I agree with that. I work with Cenk all the time, and we agree the core problem with American politics is this corruptive influence of money. But to change the policy on that, we've got to change the game. That means fundraising, it means building candidates, it means data infrastructure. We've had a decade to get serious about all of those things. No, Miki, I've talked to you about this in private more times than I can count, the desperate need to do this work. And there's just no one on the progressive side that's serious about this. Until we get serious, we are going to continue losing.
Can I counter that just for a second?
Sure.
And then I want to go back to Claudia.
But all the people who are serious about it, actually, the fucking WFP apparently coerces them to not being as progressive, not talking about Medicare for all anymore.
If we can, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I brought up the progressive table.
Sure.
The progressive table happened. At first, you thought, oh, this is a great idea. You're bringing the families together. You're all going to have this, but there was no debate. Lists are very valuable in campaigns. People started to take over lists simultaneously. I think people in this space, like really good friends who did this for Bernie, they said that the power of email, the power of texting has been going down. And has for campaigns all over the country because of algorithms, because people are annoyed. So it's not just about data. And it's not just about fundraising. You don't have, the vehicles aren't operating the same way they used to. This is getting very technical, but this is the reality of how this stuff works. I run Matriarch, as you know, Brianna. Matriarch is training these candidates. We're working with all these races across the country, and these are working people. And everyone's trying to crowdsource. The difference between what we were able to fundraise 2 years ago and what we are now, same data infrastructure is 80% down across the board. It's why isn't raising money. Add to it these divisions. Add to it this online conflict. Add to it, and this is separate from the Democratic Party. We're just talking about progressive organizations across the board. So it's nice to say we have to fundraise. We do have those vehicles to do so. It's just they're not operating the same way anymore. And that is where I point at the right wing and the tech, the right wing tech overlords who have completely obliterated progressive ability to do that kind of grassroots work. I mean, look at how Twitter functions now. I mean, this is not the same world we were living in 2016 at all. And it's not that people haven't tried; they have. And where they've been successful, they've been overtaken. Justice Democrats, as you know very well, operated in its own way a few years ago, changed leadership, people were pushed out. Bernie Sanders' campaign in 2016 was very different than Bernie Sanders 2020. The people who won you Iowa and Michigan and all these states were pushed out or sidelined. And there was a campaign manager who, lovely guy, had no experience in politics.
So a couple things, Claudia. On Bowman, I mean, there's other things I want to ask you about and get your perspective on. Do you think to some degree Bowman was a flawed candidate, or do you not buy that at all?
I mean, I'm not a fan of Bowman. I'm not. And so I'm not going to sit here and defend Bowman and what he didn't do. Because again, I'm talking about the betrayal of some of these candidates to their own people, to their own constituency, and not delivering on their promises. But in addition to that factor, there's the money factor.
This isn't. Oh, yes, it is. Oh, damn. Yeah, he was down 35 to 52. He's leading in. This was in March by the Upswing Research Group.
Factor that Brianna's talking about, which I think is important because we can't talk about anything in the world if we don't talk about money and how to make things happen. I'm not being vague. Whoever finances a campaign has influence in the politics that are being shaped. That is real. And if we continue to say that only billionaires and super PACs, people with money, are the ones that are influencing politics, they're not going to influence politics for the interest of the majority of people who don't have money. It is not true. And so we need to get really real about what money is it that is coming into politics with Bowman's Bowman's,
how do we do that?
Raise. Okay. It was over $15 million that were raised. And that didn't only come from AIPAC. They came also from Republican donors. Like, if we don't see the farce of what this democracy is, I don't know, like Republicans financing a primary for Democrats, that is ludicrous.
This thing that happens, like, it's probably not good, but like, parties. Remember when every Democrat was rightfully mad that Democrats were funding like far right candidates in primaries because they thought they'd be easier to run against, like, which I mean, arguably that actually kind of did work. Like, there were probably candidates that won the primary that shouldn't have won and then went on to win the general, but like, that probably was the reason why there was no red wave in 2022 when everyone was predicting it, was because funding those bad candidates in the primary made the Democrats look more appealing to people. But this is a thing that happens. Yeah, it's
so
not like
I get what you're saying, Nomiki, in terms of being outed as a enemy, as a traitor for putting the truth out. I mean, Julian Assange just came out of prison for putting out the truth of warmongering. And so I think, again, if we don't learn from history and if we don't learn from context.
I mean, he oh no, they're talking about Julian Assange. Fuck, I don't know the details of him. I don't remember. God damn it. I was thinking of Edward Snowden. Edward Snowden leaked a bunch of shit that he probably shouldn't have, because he just gave like everything to Glenn Greenwald. He leaked a bunch of shit he hadn't even read that probably did expose secrets that probably shouldn't have been out there. But
if we don't learn about what has happened historically in any institution, we will lack reality. And I understand in terms of coalition building as well, because coalition building, again, doesn't only happen in electoral politics. It's happening in politics generally. And there's a very, very key aspect of coalition building, and that's principle. That's unified basis of principle and basis of alignment. And I think if we can agree that there is a genocide happening, that people are being exterminated, that the United States government is financing that with taxpayer money, we could probably engage in a conversation. But I think the essence of our perspectives are very different. And so
Brianna,
oh no!
Okay, I see you shaking your head, Brianna, at the idea that I think the wording was from Claudia, all agreeing about a genocide happening, and you shook your head. I'm guessing you don't agree with that.
I know this
is literally like the progressives fucking purity testing in real time here. We have to all agree that there's a genocide happening in Gaza, and then we can have a conversation.
Maybe unpopular opinion. I think it's a conventional war. I don't think it's a genocide. I think there's a reason these numbers keep getting revised down. I think there's a reason that the number of women and children killed was shot so far up, and now that's been retracted. Over and over, there's this narrative that's out there. Al Shifa Hospital being a great example that people are out there making wild claims, and then you look into it after the fact and it's not true. But I'm willing to put all of that aside, because I'm not a fan of Netanyahu. I think this war is disproportionate. I don't think it's helping Israeli security. And ultimately, my goal is not to help Israel, it's to help the United States. I know what you can't see is that the Jews that have been the backbone of the progressive movement, the Jews that have been there for Me Too and Black Lives Matter and wrote big checks and helped gay marriage get funded and have been there every step of the way, they are furious and they are hurt. And the way you're talking about, hold on, no. The way you're talking about Bowman is like AIPAC came in and spent a bunch of money and then stole democracy. I need to tell you that is not true. I was in New York last weekend, and the reality is Bowman said many things, including denying the rapes of October 7th, that I found disgusting and a lot of Jewish people found disgusting. No. And it was people power showing up to hold him accountable and get out there and mobilize the vote and win. And the way you're talking about this makes it sound like Jews don't count. And it's just not true. If we are serious about building people power, if your theory that we don't need money and we need people is true,
that's not my theory. We've
got to go rebuild that trust with Jewish people. We've got to revisit the bread and butter politics with women. We've got to revisit and rebuild the coalition from the ground up, because it is disintegrating from this cannibalism and this sanctimony.
Brianna, you're literally in your argument, you are affirming that the big checks come from the Jewish community. That's the first thing. That's what you've been saying. And I want to clarify this. I'm not saying that movements don't need funding. What I am saying is that the funding determines the politics. And that is
Hold on a second. Let me just jump in, because I think I misunderstood something. I just want to make, before we get past
it,
you said, Claudia, that Brianna said big checks come from the Jewish community. Did you say or imply that? I just didn't hear that. If I missed it,
I certainly did not. I said people for the Jewish community got organized and went out there to work that race, and I was part of that.
No, before that. Was my
before that. You did say gay marriage.
I mean, I'm pretty sure she did say Jews have been out there. They've given big checks. They helped fight for gay marriage. They helped do a lot of things in the progressive movement.
Before that, there was a statement, and you can go back to the tape and verify it. There was a statement that was made in terms of the big checks and how the Jewish community necessarily feels betrayed. Like,
Jewish people are a big part of the progressive movement. They always have been.
And all I have to say is that I know that they have been. Jewish people, like many other people, have been part of many movements, not only here in the United States, but all across the globe. Wherever they are, there are those progressive, conscious, like many other different identities, nationalities have been there. And what I am trying to say, and what I am saying, and I'm going to go back to this question of essence. There's a difference in your perspective and mine. We have different politics. And so while I understand the point in terms of many Jewish people feeling a sense of betrayal, that does not in any way erase the fact that there are so many other people that feel betrayed as well. You talked about here in the United States and the Black Lives Matter movement, but the Black Lives Matter movement did solve the issue of police brutality. It hasn't solved it. In fact, the Democratic Party pumped in more money into policing last year than they did before. And
we're still on the defund the police stuff? Oh no, guys, we've moved past it. This isn't 2020 anymore. Okay, it's 4 years later. It was a dumb idea then. It's an even dumber idea now. Oh, no. We can't still be hung up on this.
Historic numbers of police brutality increased in 2023 under Biden. And so, again, I don't deny the involvement, the engagement of Jewish people. I mean, there's Jewish Voices for Peace. There's many different organizations at the ground doing real work in relationship to what's happening in the world, not solely around Palestine. And that is valid. However, to say
2023 saw record killings by U.S. police.
That somehow this would economically also impact the support and the growing of a movement, that's kind of like, it makes me feel a certain type of way. Yes, fundraising is important, but where it's coming from is important. I don't think AIPAC, my honest opinion, I don't think AIPAC is necessarily the representation of the Jewish community. I don't believe that.
Okay, there's a lot there. So, Brianna, do you think Jewish Voices for Peace is the representation of the Jewish community? Because that's another group Claudia mentioned.
I'm not Jewish. I can't say for sure. What I can say is when I go visit, when I go to temple or talk to my Jewish friends that are progressive, by the way, right here in Massachusetts, we have the 8th highest number of Jews. I can say they don't feel that really represents them. And I think if you look at the leadership, it's not a lot of Jewish people there. So I don't. I mean,
listen, I was not going to interject anything of mine here, but just because this seems relevant, I'll mention as a Jewish progressive myself, I don't feel represented by Jewish Voices for Peace nor by AIPAC.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a couple anecdotes in the last few years that have made me, as someone who has been part of this movement for a long time, feel like, whoa, do they want me in this movement? Number one was around the time of the Women's March and some of the statements that came out about Jewish women aren't intersectional or oppressed enough to be on the leadership of Women's March. As a Jewish progressive myself, I thought, whoa, hold on a second. So do they want my help? I don't know, because this is a group this is a movement I've been supporting for a long time. And I recently went to a Pride parade. It was Pride Month as a straight ally myself. And there was a float in the parade I went to that was Queers for Palestine, which is fine. And they had these puppets that were the stereotypical Jewish long-nosed money-grubbing thing.
No.
And I said, holy crap, I can't think of a bigger straight ally for the LGBTQ community. I've been doing it 18 years on this show. It's making me feel pushed out, and I don't know that they want me. So maybe to talk a little bit about this identity thing that Brianna is bringing up, does anyone on the panel...
My example went to bed, but yeah, I remember when Petamillo came in to do our debate, and it was the first, as soon as he found out Sample was Israeli, he was only like, oh, you're Israeli? That tells me everything I need to know about you. That was so funny, dude. It probably, this first thing that comes up, we just look him up. Oh no, it comes up with all this stuff. Petamillo. Oh, here it is.
I think Israel shouldn't even be a state. Really.
Yeah. There's defenders from the that Gaza was probably
took hostages.
Gaza for 8. I think if you. Oh,
Yeah.
damn it. I might not have put it in the intro. Damn. Fuck it. Well.
Worry that there is a way. Brianna called it a reduction in size of who gets to be in the progressive movement. Some call it litmus tests. Some call it use of identity politics.
It's
is anybody
testing
on the panel concerned about that other than Brianna?
I mean, I wouldn't even, some of it's litmus tests and some of it's just targets. If someone doesn't fall in line with a specific thing that a leader or a group says, you're on the enemies list without any real understanding of what might be happening behind the scenes. I mean, this has happened with countless people who've been erased, canceled, whatever, because they made one comment or did this, or it was a misinterpretation. And then there's actual litmus tests. But what I'm concerned, this dynamic that we're talking about right now is exactly what the strategy is, to take two very unique arguments. I'm not saying that it's radical because there's perspectives all over the place on these issues. My partner's Jewish. We've had these conversations, very tense conversations over the last, 9-10 months about this. Incredibly tense conversations, frankly. And, I think what I would say, and David, what you just illustrated is an example of that is, on one side, the Jewish community is not this blanket community. And to even think that all Jews think the same way and feel the same way is reductionist. And that's exactly what they're trying to set up. On the other side, I also think I've seen a lot of progressives online, and I'm not sure all of it's real, to be honest.
I mean, not all Jews think the same way, but like the number of Jews who support Israel, at least Israel existing, is like, it's in like the 90s%. Like, Jewish support for Israel poll America. Jews 18 to 34 divided. This is about Israel's response. Moss, I agree. Most Jews say Israel's reasons for fighting are valid. 16% say the same about Hamas. Divided about the Israeli government. I mean, yeah, majority support for their actions even after October 7th. Although, this is the young people. Young people are obviously going to be especially divided, but it's down to 52% here. But At least the support for like Israel existing. Okay, give me a graph. I don't want to read a table.
Be honest. Or sometimes people fall in and don't have an education of the tropes of stuff that is actually anti-Semitic. But again, it doesn't mean every single Palestinian activist has the same beliefs. Of course, there are people out there who, might be right-wing, listen, Roger Stone is famous for this kind of stuff, going to protest and putting things out there. And then what happens is it's like an influence campaign. There's someone who may not be as educated, younger, falls for it, doesn't know that that's anti-Semitic, doesn't know the history, says the wrong word. And then there are people who just straight up, are anti-Semitic for sure, but maybe aren't.
8 in 10 USU say caring about Israel is an important or essential part of what being Jewish means to them.
On the left, it's complicated is what I'm saying, is we can't just put everybody in one spot and the other spot and be reductionist about this. I have learned so much in the last 9 months from my partner and dear friends about being a progressive Jew and what it means. And also the history of even the more progressive Jewish organizations and what their backgrounds are historically. Claudia, you brought this up. Movements have complicated histories. I've also learned about how foreign influence campaigns are absolutely weaponizing this debate right now. That's and now they want it to be not complicated. They want it to be, you're either this or you're this, because it's easy to move people that way. But this is why this conversation is like really helpful and uncomfortable at times. You're getting into the weeds, David. And I think that's powerful, but like, we as progressives also have a responsibility. Pro-Palestine progressives have a responsibility to understand the history of anti-Semitism, just as, I think many Jewish activists have to have an understanding of the oppression that other communities have faced and how they've always been pitted against each other. And, that's gone on for, at this point, 70 years.
Claudia, if you had to assess, or go ahead, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that I agree with a lot of what Nomiki just mentioned in terms of like identity politics. I'm not a fan of identity politics. I feel like in so many different ways, identity politics are a construction of academia, which is basically also connected to many other types of funding. And it has sipped into movement to categorize and fragment. So that's my understanding of it. However, I say that, and I also say that it is important to center and to be able to know, as you mentioned, the histories of historically marginalized communities and find a certain level of commonality as we potentially can to be able to form these coalitions. But it does take very difficult conversations and the ability to be able to like have a certain level of compassion. Like in terms of
you don't want to have conversations. You literally already said, oh, we have a different in politics. You probably think there is no genocide happening in Gaza. I do. Like
anti-Semitic reality, the reality of many Jewish people. And David, you could speak to it more than anyone else here. There is huge amounts of suffering through generations, but we cannot deny the suffering of the Palestinian people either. And so we need to have that conversation, and it's uncomfortable. We need to have a conversation about the role of the United States, not only in Palestine, but also in Africa, also in Asia, also in Latin America. I'm Caribbean. The United States has backed many different occupations in countries from where I come from. And so these are things that we need to know, because if we want to have an informed sense of what actually happens and how our money, taxpayers' money, that could be invested here to deal with the issues of healthcare, to deal with the issues of housing, to deal with the multiple levels of crises that we experience, and how those are being divested into doing all sorts of things across the globe. We need to have a sense of history. And that is all I'm saying. I think identity politics historically, well, at least for the last 10 years, there's a lot of people that don't find their space in movement. There's a lot of people that feel they are canceled, they are shut out.
What exactly does she want the U.S. to do?
Not only
She probably wants the U.S. to impose sanctions on Israel and stop giving them any military aid, and she wants businesses to divest, and presumably she wants a one-state solution, judging based off her necklace, which is a singular Palestinian state.
The identity of gender, or the identity of race, but also the identity of age, where some people may feel that older folks have nothing to bring into the table because this is a new generation, and all that does is weaken movements. And so we need to find ways of strengthening movements, but we also need to be able to touch grass, and we also need to be able to have a sense of history.
As we start entering the last chapter of the conversation, I would love to go, maybe we'll go left to right as I see the three of you. Brianna, feel free to react to anything that's just been said that you haven't yet been able to react to, but also in thinking about the last element of this, what do you think the progressive movement should absolutely not do over the next 3 to 5 years if the goal is to actually get some wins and gain some power?
So that's such a good question. Claudia, I hope at some point we can go out and get some coffee or something. I don't want this. I feel like I'm disagreeing with you more than I want to today, so I apologize about that in advance. But it kind of leads into David's questions. I want to propose a counter perspective to what you just said. You're talking about the United States foreign policy, and talking about this is something that progressives need to really get involved with and make it a core value, right? I really disagree with this. I think that Nomiki was talking about this foreign interference that has really crept in and made it difficult for us to get our message out with bots. Something I agree with. I think part of this is this anti-Western, anti-American bias has unfortunately seeped in and come to be a core part of the progressive movement.
Part of, yes, half of progressive is just America bad. Everything America does is bad. Ukraine is bad. Israel bad. Anything America touches is bad.
100% against the Iraq War. That was how I got my start in American politics, in progressive politics. But at the same time, I don't think progressives have ever given Obama credit for the fight against ISIS and the good things we did with that. I think
don't you know we made ISIS? Don't you know we made ISIS?
When you're seeing this operation to stop Houthis from attacking union workers on shipping vessels and just make sure
they're only attacking them because Israel's committing a genocide. Don't you know they're defending it? Innocent Palestinian children, 17,000 children have been killed.
Our global supply chain is operating normally. I don't think that we see. I think progressives are on the wrong side of this. So, David, to come back to your question, like what do progressives fundamentally need to not do in the next 5 years? This is my core message. Progressives have a much, much, much harder job than Republicans or Democrats do, because we want really big structural change. We want things like healthcare reform. We want real structural reform to racism in this country. And the only way we can do that is by getting this really broad buy-in from the right and the left and normal people, normal working class people. And I think a really core component of that is we've got to exile this anti-American, anti-West sentiment.
We have to bring
I think America is a really
back.
fantastic country. I'm proud to live here. I'm proud of my friends that serve in the armed forces.
Unironically too, because the Republican Party is the fucking anti-patriotic party now. They're the ones that are supporting a fucking insurrection. They're the ones who don't want to support our allies, Israel and Ukraine. Like, or they're more in support of Israel than progressives are. But I mean, even there are like some like isolationists in the Republican Party who don't want to support Ukraine or Israel. But yeah.
I think when we talk about America, like it's this colonialist evil empire, I think we are driving away the normal people that we fundamentally need to bring into our fold.
I just think that we should have a sense of history. She's going to say that. She's going to say, I think we should have a sense of history. And obviously the U.S. is evil and colonial. Obviously, everything the U.S. does is bad.
So we can have a criticism of American foreign policy, and I will always help lead that discussion. But I'm tired of talking about our own country like it's the enemy. It's not. America is one of the very best countries in the world, and we should be proud of it.
Claudia, let me go to you next, and then we'll go to Nomiki. What do you think that the progressive movement needs to avoid over the next 3 to 5 years if the goal is to get some wins?
Can I also react?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think that saying American is also monolithic. I don't think it's like all Americans are the same. There are very, very huge differences. And there's actually a divide between those who own it all and those who don't have anything. And so I think that that's important to be mentioned, because being anti-war or being anti-imperialist for that matter doesn't mean that you are anti-American. Actually, there is a long history of Americans who love America and who've loved and written amazing things who are anti-imperialist. So I just want to share that. And so I would really welcome a coffee, especially because I love coffee with you at any point. So if I find myself in Massachusetts, I will definitely make sure to look out for you, because I think there's a lot of confusion. Again, Americans come in many different sizes, in many different colors, and with many different realities and experiences, even of migration, even of those who have centuries and generations of being here, who are designated to be in the most dire and terrible conditions. In terms of what we shouldn't do, I want to go back to how I started. I said I come into the space as an organizer from the grassroots.
Brianna Wu made some very dumb tweets in Israel. Really? I like most of the tweets I've seen from Israel has been fighting the progressives, the super hardcore pro-Palestine people. I mean,
I am not part of the Democratic Party. I am part of the left that is a traditional left in this country. And I think in terms of what we should not do, there's many things that we shouldn't do, but I could humbly share what I think we should do. I think that there's a dire need to have more conversations like this at all levels. I think that there is a huge necessity to be able to take over the question of education in our community, to be able to politicize and actually make meaning of the moment in which we're in. There's a lot of people that are asking many questions that neither the Democrats or the Republicans have actual answers to. A lot of people left the debate with a sense of despair, a sense of doom, because it shows again just how deep the political crisis and the crisis of legitimacy of the ruling class is in this country. And so there's a need to be able to engage in educational conversations where we are able to shape some sort of analysis that is collective. And the other aspect of it, I think that we need to be able to invest a lot.
I think half of that would. That last sentence was like an actual word. I don't know, word salad. I don't know what she means by that. Maybe it just went past me. Maybe it was just dumb. But what?
Time outside of our comfort spaces. So electoral politics is one piece, but there's no way politics can actually be moved without social movements. People that are outside of these parties, people that are actually doing the work, people that are actually mobilizing, that are educating, that are agitating. There's time and space that needs to be invested in that space. Because for as long as we think that the ones that should be having some sort of influence are those who have money, this country is going to continue to go backwards and more towards the right.
Nomiki, your thoughts? I'll give you the same prompt. What should progressives avoid doing in order to get some wins?
Maybe spend a little less time online.
Less time on X, right?
Yes. But really, it's not that, on one hand, yes, the majority of working people out there who we want to bring into our movement, that were probably part of our movement a few years ago, multi-generational, multiracial, economicized working people was the Bernie Sanders campaign of 2016. We remember it was historic. And we wanted it to grow, and it should have grown. But simultaneously, we do have this online infrastructure that is very influential. It's very noisy, and it does steer things. It is not everybody. It is nowhere near everybody. It's nowhere near a small portion, but it does steer things. It steers conversation. It steers think pieces. It steers the newspapers. It steers, how money is being poured into politics. For example, the Jamal Bowman race. I mean, a lot of these narratives, these fights are being established in this very unequal algorithmic universe that we're talking about. It's not everything, but it is a lot. So, maybe not take everything you see online at face value. There's a lot of operations that go behind that. As someone who's worked on campaigns, influencers out there, you have surrogates, you have like group chats, and there's a million other things. So that's just one aspect of it. I think what I find really valuable about this conversation is that we've talked about how infrastructure works in different organizations. We've talked about how fundraising works. We've talked about how electoral politics works. We've talked about history, and we've talked about touching the grass. And I think there's a purpose.
What you're saying is the state of political climate is messy and confusing. There's no straight answers coming from politicians, supposedly. Well, I understood that part, but I don't understand whatever fucking history shit she was talking about. By the way, is my stream, how delayed is my stream? Like my Wi-Fi is just fucking up, and I don't know why. Because like if I run a speed test, it's fine, but I think my live stream is delayed because OBS shows my connection's really bad. I don't know.
Formula for understanding moving forward as progressive individuals to work critically and think critically. And you kind of need to have a little bit of all of that, have a deeper understanding of your history, the methods that have hurt our
what service do you have? I have Spectrum.
Progressive movements in the past and killed them.
Why does the title of your stream say always gooning? Because I'm always gooning, bro.
And the methods they're using moving forward.
Progressivism is dead as the country, low lucrative squad. Nobody is surprised every day when Americans reject socialism and hating our country.
It's important for us to
talk about that, how like the America bad is fucking just part of the progressive mindset now.
Out there and do the work organizing. No offense, not you, David. I've known you for years. But
by the way, you know what we can read later now that I actually have now that I bought No Opinions subscription to a Substack, so I could read his stuff on unrealized gains. Palestine is the end of the road.
There's a whole lot of podcasters out there who've never stepped one foot on any campaign, whether it's an issue-based campaign of movement organizing or actual electoral politics.
They running service updates tonight? Oh, they are? Okay.
And yet they're the end-all be-all deciders of what's right and wrong. That's just not, you need to do the work. And it doesn't mean that if you don't have time to do the work, you can't be part of the movement. Everybody has a role, but also understanding how these movements operate and how to communicate with voters. I mean, one thing I think all of us have discussed here is there are people out there who feel totally left out of the community, whose needs and concerns are not being addressed, whose pain is not being felt, whether you agree with it or not, that we need to understand. And we learn to understand by having conversations. We learn to understand by going out there and doing the work in community and volunteering. Showing up and protesting is one thing, and that's great, showing up on the streets. But doing the deep organizing is where it's like your day shifts as a movement worker. Suddenly you go on, you see the chatter, and you're like, this is so meaningless compared to the elderly woman that I met with, Olga, in Puerto Rico, whose roof was ripped off 78 in Hurricane Maria, still isn't there from Hurricane Fiona, and now is being priced out of her community. Do you think she cares about what's happening with Brianna Joy Gray and Glenn Greenwald online? No. She cares about whether or not she's going to be able to get the FEMA money under Joe Biden, whether or not she's going to be able to find new housing, given the fact that properties have gone up so much on the island. And this is happening in communities across the country. This is our movement. And we need to get down on the ground and real with what the implications are of these conversations we're having in this theoretical web space. It has real consequences. And, this presidential election, as uncomfortable as it is, there are real consequences if you don't do anything. We may not like it.
That's for sure. Yeah. Listen, we are at the end of our time. Brianna, Claudia, Nomiki, so great to see you and really appreciate your time and your insights today.
Thanks for having us.
I already answered that, Chunky Monkey, bro.
Thank you for having us, Stephen.
All right. How long? This is not that long. I don't think I need to take notes on anything. It'll just be fun to read. Fuck, hold on. I got a DM. Monday, Tuesday, definitely Wednesday. It's hard maybe, but Thursday, Friday for sure. Is today Monday now? Today is Monday. Thursday and Friday. Okay, so 10 p.m. Cal time, which is like 7 or 10 p.m. 10 p.m. EST or 10 p.m. PST to EST. Is that 7 my time or is that? Oh, that's 1 a.m. my time. I can do that. Okay. So 10 p.m. EST. Say good. Palestine is the end of the road for the new left. Whatever you think of Israel, there's just no future in global intifada and death to America. Ostensibly, this is supposed to be an economic blog, so how are leftist protests, like the ones currently happening at Columbia University, related to economics? Unfortunately, there are several connections. First of all, leftists are potentially an important vector by which economic ideas enter our discourse, and if it weren't for the Bernie Sanders movement, we probably wouldn't be talking about things like student debt relief, universal basic income, national health insurance, and so on. Oh wait, fuck, I should... The Seattle WTO protest highlighted a bunch of problems with the way globalization was being done in the 90s, Occupy Wall Street made financial reforms more urgent, and so on. Second of all, leftists can affect electoral politics, which has a huge impact on economic ideas getting implemented. Right now, Palestine protests are occurring on college campuses and on urban freeways, but this summer there will probably be major protests at the DNC in Chicago, which could affect the tenure of media coverage of Biden's re-election campaign. Well, that's gone. Much like the protests in 1968, although Trump is more pro-Israel than Biden, Palestine protesters fear that Biden has betrayed them and focus all their ire against him and other Democrats. Thus, it's not impossible to imagine that leftists could ultimately tip a very close election of Trump. Hold on, Thursday, August 8th. So yes, leftists in a Palestine protest campaign. Progressivism requires radical change to be palatable to everyday Americans. Unfortunately, progressive movements hate changing to be more inclusive. Yeah, we just watched that debate. Yeah, the purity testing on the left is insane. There's purity testing on the right too. We just saw that with Kyle Rittenhouse. Kyle Rittenhouse said he wasn't pro-Trump, and they immediately started fucking transvestigating him, bro, saying that he was secretly a girl and like. Okay. Set up one well text debate Thursday, August 8th at 10 p.m. PST, which is 1 a.m. EST. I should probably add that. Bim. Thursday, August 8th, 1 a.m. EST. Basically, I think what we're seeing is the end of an arc of American leftism movement that began in the 1990s, gained strength in the Iraq War and a financial crisis, and reached its apex in the unrest of the late 2010s. Leftists would like to believe that the Palestine protests have reinvigorated the movement. Instead, I think they represent a dead end that the movement won't easily be able to recover from, no matter who wins the election in November. The reason in a nutshell is that the Palestine protests represent an unreasonable ideology. Even setting aside the extremists who show up to the protests and say anti-Semitic things and express support for Hamas and Iran, and it isn't all clear that we should set them aside, The Palestine protests embrace an unworkable ideology. They represent a distorted, fantastical view of foreign policy, and anti-Americanism can't possibly be appeased or mollified in a set of unworkable and often immoral policy demands. This is a movement that's going nowhere and serves to do little except to weaken the nation and misdirect the energies of the youth. Steel manning the Palestine protest. Before I bash the Palestine protest, I want to make sure I'm not being unfair to them. In some circles, this is called steel manning. Newspaper columnist Will Bunce recently tweeted out the following: "It's amazing how the protesters are always right 50 years ago and always wrong today." Bunch is wrong, of course. The Americans half a century ago had plenty of protesters who most Americans would regard as unreasonable today. Anti-nuclear protests in favor of population control. Protests in favor of population control. The Wetterman's Days of Rage and other leftist Days of Rage. What is this? Other leftists at the time look misguided or just plain stupid in retrospect, and that's to say nothing of the right-wing protests that were happening at the same time. We tend to remember successful movements like the Vietnam War protests or the civil rights marches, and forget the ones that failed. Choose for Democratic Society. National Action Plans built around Jacob's slogan, "Bring the war home." The elections don't mean shit. Vote where the power is. Our power is in the street. Oh, this was about the DNC, right? Yeah. Anyway. Most protests are rooted in some type of real grievance, however tenuous. An unreasonable movement can usually be successful by some sort of lengthy chain of associations to a reasonable political proposition. In the case of the Palestine protests, it's not easy to see what the reasonable proposition would be. Israel is undeniably acting brutally in Gaza. Yes, there's a ton of misinformation and overheated rhetoric about Israel's action, but the truth is bad enough. In order to avoid ground casualties, IDF resorted to standoff attacks, basically blowing up buildings from afar when they contain someone they think might be a Hamas fighter. Those attacks end up killing a lot of innocent bystanders, and the IDF doesn't seem too concerned about that, or at least not nearly as concerned as the US would be in its place. What's this link? Sheen did it coldly. Israel uses AI. Oh, that's the AI shit. This kind of thing in the Syrian military, or oh, hold on. Israel has also risked a humanitarian catastrophe by forcing an already extremely overcrowded Gaza population into a tiny area called Rafah in the south of the Strip. With insufficient food and medical supplies, the civilian population there is suffering enormously, despite playing no role in the October 7th attacks, and that's before a planned IDF military operation into the sole remaining refugee area. I mean, they did open up the dedicated humanitarian zone, and they wanted people from Rafah to go there. This is the kind of thing the Syrian military or Houthi militia might do. I don't agree with that. They would not warn them. The reason people are seeking refuge in Rafah is because Israel warned them to go there to avoid being attacked at other places. And like, I don't think Syria would do that, or other brutal Middle East regimes. It's not the kind of thing the U.S. would do. Even American writers who support Israel's existence and right to self-defense have been horrified by the brutality of the war. Overall support for Israel's action has fallen across the board in America. Biden is considering making aid to Israel conditional if it attacks Rafah. Nor has Israel been a particularly good ally to the United States under Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu has ignored America's leaders' concerns about the conflict in Gaza, has brazenly and openly demanded the U.S. vote the way he wants in the UN Security Council. Americans' leaders are getting fed up, and rightly so. And on top of that, the U.S. has very little to gain from being involved in the Gaza war, either morally or militarily. I mean, morally, I think we're protecting a liberal democracy against jihadists. And then militarily, I think there's probably some military intelligence and military cooperation that we get from Israel that we wouldn't get otherwise. It's a diversion of resources and attention from Asia, which is by far the most important theater of a conflict in the world today, and from Europe, where Ukraine's cause is infinitely more unambiguous than Israel's. A smart move in both terms of resources and international opinion would be for the U.S. to wash its hands of this conflict, offer to mediate peace talks, organize Arab states to help guard against Iranian meddling, and pivot entirely to Asia and Europe. All of this could have made for a more humane, reasonable, and just Palestine protest movement, decrying Israel's brutality on the battlefield, denouncing Netanyahu, and demanding that the U.S. adopt a position of neutrality in a conflict would make sense. In fact, I'm sure that a few Palestinian protesters believe this, and this is what they are, in fact, protesting for. On top of that, I don't think the Palestine protests are inherently anti-Semitic, just as criticism of China doesn't imply racism against Chinese Americans, and criticism of Iran and Saudi Arabia doesn't imply Islamophobia. Criticism of Israel doesn't imply anti-Semitism. That's true, but like the Steelman here is going to be like, oh, well, Israel's probably the only like safe place for Jewish people. Really, it's the only Jewish majority state, and Jews have not historically been safe in many other places. So if you're saying Israel doesn't exist anymore, you're basically advocating for the removal of the only safe place for Jews, right? That'd be the Steelman. Some people fear that bashing Israel will lead to a rise in anti-Semitism among the American people more broadly, but I'm not worried, as Al-Grabi and Matt Yiannopoulos have pointed out, or not Matt, I don't know how to pronounce this guy's last name. Who knows? Don't care. Most of the anti-Semitic attitudes in the U.S. are still come on the political right. So I can see an alternate world in which the Palestine protests were reasonable and good, and in which I support them, but this is simply not the actual world we live in, or the actual protest movement we got. Why the Palestine protests are unreasonable. The biggest problem with the Palestine protest movement is that despite sometimes calling for a ceasefire, it is not a peace movement in any meaningful sense of the term. It is, by and large, a movement in support of violent armed struggle against Israel and any country in support of Israel. Shortly after October 7th, I noted that many leftist protesters, including a bunch of DSA chapters, came out in support of violence even before Israel struck back. I find Noah's description of the war incorrect. I agree. Particularly the part of IDF just blowing up buildings that might have Hamas fighters no warning. That honestly might be the part I most agree with him on. Or I'm most likely to grant. I don't agree with his comparisons to the Syrian regime or the Houthis. And him talking about the stuff in Rafah, I think is dumb because like it's ignoring the context of like, well, why are they all in Rafah, right? Oh, they're all in Rafah because Israel conducted this war in like a pretty planned like phase operation, right? Where they went into the north and warned everyone to leave, and then they warned everyone to leave from the central Gaza and went there. They've conducted a war pretty slow with all these phases, and yeah. What's the last plot? As Israel's campaign in Gaza intensified, the protest movement shifted for calls for ceasefire. But as Hamas rejected ceasefire proposals again and again, protesters gradually shifted away from the ceasefire messaging. As Houthis began attacking ships in the Red Sea, protesters in the U.S. began chanting, "Yemen, Yemen, make us proud, turn another ship around." Gaza? They have very little to gain from being at war with Hamas in Gaza. You're talking about Israel, or you're talking about the U.S.? His point was that the U.S. has very little to gain from a war with Hamas. But obviously Israel has a lot to gain. AKA their existence. Now, with the new round of protests, even more warlike messaging has become the norm. The Yemen chant was modified to Al-Qassam, make us proud, kill another soldier now. Another chant called burn Tel Aviv to the ground. Protesters danced to rap lyrics declaring Israel gonna die, bitch. Many protesters chant Intifada revolution or called a globalized Intifada. One tent at Columbia had a sign addressed to the scum of the nations and pigs of the earth, declaring that paradise lies in the shadows of swords. Others protesters declared October 7th would be the beginning of a global revolution. Here's a viral tweet that typifies the attitude I see coming from leftists. God, I am so happy about the conversation shifting in support of violent resistance and the outright dismantling of Israel. Fuck a two-state solution. Fuck coexistence for genocidal states. Free Palestine means all of Palestine. This is not a peace movement or an anti-war movement. This is a militant pro-war movement. Now, I'm not trying to claim that peace movements are the only good protest movements. Countries have the right to resist invasion, occupation, and destruction, just like Ukraine is resisting Russia's invasion. But the Palestine protesters want more than the expulsion of Israel's army from Gaza and the West Bank. They want Israel to be destroyed with armed force because they believe the land of Israel rightly belongs to the Palestinian people. A movement in favor of the armed destruction of an internationally recognized nation is an inherent moral disadvantage. That destruction would doubtless involve the slaughter of a great many Israelis and ethnic cleansing of most of the remainder, and an even greater atrocity Israel is now wrecking upon Gaza. Yeah, I meant to say, yeah, the Syrian Houthi comparison is ridiculous, yeah. And would also overturn the internet. Also, my stream is so delayed, but apparently Spectrum's doing fucking service or whatever. I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do to fix it. Multi-anti-Semitism comes from the right. Are there any stats showing this? It might be true, but the writer just say things factually not truth. He cites these two things. Republicans and older Americans are more positive. Israel. He cites this. Anti-Semitism. And this as well. I was going to say that Israel's nothing to do with the war, nothing to gain from the war. I think he said the U.S. has nothing to gain from the war, not Israel. The U.S. has very little to gain from being involved in the Gaza war, either morally or militarily. It's about the U.S., not Israel. Obviously, Israel has a lot to gain. I don't think he would disagree with that. I think he's just arguing that the U.S. has not much to gain, which I don't think is necessarily true. Probably, I don't think we have as much to gain there as Ukraine, but and then he talks about Asia as well. In the long run, I think Asia is going to be more important, but like, I don't know. It's probably, I think we should probably protect it. I think the war doesn't just involve Israel and Gaza, because it involves Iran too, right? So there's probably issues there. And Iran is somewhat aligned with China and Russia, right? They're the new axis. I'm not trying to claim that peace movements are the only good protest movements. Countries have the right to resist. A movement in favor of armed destruction is inherently more disadvantaged. That destruction would doubtless involve blah, blah, blah. Okay. And it would also overturn the international norm of territorial integrity that's largely prevailed since World War II. The idea that a country shouldn't be invaded and destroyed. Israel's undoubtedly violated that norm with its land grabs in the West Bank. True. But the destruction of Israel in the name of a iridescent Palestine land claim would violate the norm to an even greater degree. Palestine protesters are thus using one atrocity as an excuse to call for an even greater atrocity. That's not just inhumane, it's an invitation to global chaos. It's a call for the return of law of the jungle, where nations press ancient land claims with invasions, ethnic cleansings, and genocide. That's not a future most people in the world want, and insisting on it will ensure that Palestine protesters are widely discarded as extremists. On top of that, the Palestine protesters have made their movement an explicitly anti-American one. The Iranian government chant of death to America, death to Israel has already made appearances at some rallies. Leftists regularly post on social media about how Palestine will ultimately cause the destruction of the U.S. They're cracking down on the speech about Palestine because the inevitable end of Israel means the inevitable end of America. At the University of Michigan, some protesters are now passing out flyers declaring that freedom of Palestine means death to America. Fire, dude. This is stupid. Almost no American is going to support the destruction of their country in the name of Palestine. By attaching their dreams of revolution and the destruction of the U.S. to a Palestinian cause, the protesters have condemned the latter to be permanently on the fringes. These fundamental problems are already enough to coincide the Palestine protesters to ignominy. But on top of that, the protesters seem to have no real idea how to get a tent encampment on the university lawn to the goal of destroying Israel. How to get from, I missed the word, from a tent encampment to the goal of destroying Israel. The Columbia protests apparently began because some students realized that the university's endowment owned shares of ETFs that include, among many other assets, shares in companies that sell equipment to the Israeli military. The idea that divesting from those ETFs would in any way inconvenience the IDF shows a deep and profound misunderstanding of how finance works. Meanwhile, other protest demands just come off confused, such as calls to end land grabs in Harlem, New York City. My camera's tilted, isn't it? I didn't realize. Whoopsie. It's not that tilted, but it's better. I need to get a level frame. In other words, Palestine protesters have no idea what they're demanding, why, or other than the destruction of Israel and possibly America too. Things that no university administrator to the council or tech company can provide them. And then, of course, there's anti-Semitism. Sure, opposing Israel isn't inherently anti-Semitic, but these Palestine protesters have definitely performed a ton of anti-Semitism. They go back to Poland. Yes, one feature calls of... go back to Poland. Thank you. Yes. I knew it was real. Yes, okay. Another call for Jews to go back to Europe, claiming they have no culture. I knew it was real. I knew it was real. I knew I remembered it. Yes, yes. How to make your movement extremely popular among American youth. Step 1, call for destruction of America. Step 2, profit. True. Another call for Jews to go back to Europe, claiming they have no culture, and that all they do is colonize. Want to have Jews from the Middle East, Europeans. Meanwhile, there are a number of reports of students being assaulted for wearing Jewish religious hats, threatened for wearing a Jewish star necklace, and so on. There are then signs like this from Colombia. Fire. There are still some Jewish people in the protests, of course, and many of them protesters probably find anti-Semitic displays distasteful and unhelpful. But the degree to which anti-Semitism has found a safe space and a platform at these events shows that protesters have essentially no ability to police their tone or stand message, which suggests that the Palestine movement in the U.S. is kind of chaotic, disorganized movement that can never be appeased or negotiated with. In other words, Palestine protest is so utterly unreasonable that it will probably never be able to win much, and it will probably not be remembered as one of the good movements 50 years from now. And all it will do is create a sad spectacle, cause minor inconvenience, and make a lot of people sad, discredit the American leftist movement of the early 20th century. My big thesis about the American age of unrest is that the 2020s are the new 1970s. After 1971, unrest in America began to ebb, terror attacks and protest marches became less common, and most of the American young people had been riled up by the late 60s, went back to normal life and to find jobs and families. But even as the masses got exhausted and retreated from street politics, those who stayed in the activist scene got crazier and crazier. I'm talking about the Siamese Liberation Army, Ray Lazer, and the Black Liberation Army, and various other crazies. For a good overview of the general mood enthusiasm, read The Invisible Bridge, and for a good overview of the extreme crazies of the 70s, read Days of Rage. Unrest has a sort of evaporated Kool-Aid property. As the moderates drift away from the movement, the extremists become more extreme. The American leftist movement feels like it's in a similar position. There's still a clear difference with the Floyd protests of 2020. Those drew tens of millions into the streets, included people from all walks of life. Leftists marched, but moderates marched right alongside them. And some recent research by Guinness and Pons finds that unlike most protest movements, the Floyd protests were persuasive. They actually created support for Democrats and a concern about racial discrimination in areas where they happen. Contrast with the Palestine protests, they've drawn tens of thousands of activists across the nation, but that's hundreds of times smaller than the Floyd protest. The country just isn't pouring into the streets in support of the Palestinian cause, nor is it going to. Part of that is because the issue is so morally mucky and complex. Part of that is because the Palestine protesters are so extreme. But most of these Americans aren't riled up about foreign affairs unless the U.S. itself is involved in fighting. Polls show that Palestine is far down on the issues that Americans, even young Americans, consider important. Due to a lack of popular enthusiasm, the Palestine protesters are going to spend essentially of their effort protesting Democrats instead of Republicans. Everyone is worried about the protest at the DNC, but no one is worried about the RNC. This is even though the GOP is generally more pro-Israel than the Dems. It reminds me a bit of when Bernie Sanders, no doubt the urging of his radicalized campaign staff, tried to make the 2020 campaign about topping the Democrats' establishment. I've got news for the Republican establishment. I've got news for the Democrat establishment. They can't top us. Being forced to fight your own side is a sign of a weak movement. The Floyd protests railed against police brutality, Donald Trump fascism. That was a cause that moderates and liberals felt comfortable joining in because they hated police brutality, Donald Trump, and fascism too. But the moderates and liberals aren't joining in a Palestine protest. They're the target of those protests. Perhaps if rightists, the Proud Boys, Charlottesville, alt-right, and so on turned out in the streets to battle the Palestine protesters, then liberals and moderates would get involved. But rightists just don't care. In fact, when they see leftists smacking yarmulkes, I'm in VC. I don't care, JDR. Of the heads of the Jewish kids on college campuses, alt-right types are more waiting room to talk about what like we're reading this, and then I have to read stuff on wealth taxes. Okay, more likely to pop open a beer and grab some popcorn. In other words, Palestine's protests aren't actually activating the American broad, deep-rooted partisan instincts. Instead, they're one faction of extremists trying and inevitably failing to take over the center-left party that they've nominally affiliated with, but actually deeply despise. Asher, can you bring me in? Dude, we got a lot of fucking stuff to read, dude. I'm just reading. What do you want to talk about? If you want to talk about a wealth tax, then like maybe we could do it, but like we'd actually probably agree on a wealth tax. Palestine protests end a line from the left, not because the protests are not going to convince everyone that left is bad, but because they're going to bore the heck out of everyone in the country, while painting leftists into an ideological corner. America just is very damn tired. A decade of fighting over race and gender and Trump fascism, etc., has left the vast majority of people without the energy to fight the cops over some grubby, nasty Middle Eastern conflict over half a world away, and they've certainly not going to get up off their couches to fight for death to America or global intifada. So here we are in the new 1970s. The new headlines are still full of revolution and unrest, but the actual set of people driving those headlines is shrinking fast, even as it becomes more strident and extreme. I won't be surprised at all if in 10-15 years from now we look back and wonder what happened to the left. I want to talk about Carl. Yeah, see, I'm not doing that. I don't care. I'm still streaming, right? What? Huh? Guys, I think I know why I'm maybe so broken. What? How long has this been open?